Go into that other YouTube channel. Tell people that we're on this one.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
I'll send out another link.
This program is for mature audiences only.
Please have your fake ID ready.
This is Olin Kreutz. You listen to my voice here on Bears 100 Proof. I think it was 2008 or 9. I was Bears 100. We absolutely suck on the offensive line. I told him this at the end of the year. I go, we're terrible. Like, you got to get us some help out there. And he's like, oh, big guy, we'll get you help. Well, he got me help. They signed Julie Peppers there. That's Brian Early. 2 Hall of Famers on the other side of the ball. And I sat in the locker room all year, and I answered questions on why the O-line was so bad. We had Kevin Schaefer and Frank Omeo. Like, come on, guys. You know why we're bad.
Yeah, Omeo was the big signing.
He was the big signing one year in free agency.
I remember doing a whole show.
Hey, guys, the defense is a Hall of Famer. We got Frank Omeo.
Yeah.
You guys are on. You guys know what's going on with this team. So look, Danny Trevathan, Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack, Kyle Fuller. I mean, they got animals, man. They got animals. Akeem Hicks is an animal, man. That guy plays as long as Khalil Mack's out there. He's such a destructive force, and they have to account for him. He almost takes away half of your offense because you have to triple team him. I think the Rams wouldn't even pass the ball when he was on the field. It was crazy. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Check down.
Yeah, I went to they retired Urlacher's jersey, and I was in the end zone with Roberto Garza, and we were watching the game. And I don't know if you remember in 2018 they were backed up. The Seahawks were, and Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack ran a TE, and I looked at Garza and I go, man, I don't know how you block that. Like unless you put 4 guys to those 2, you're in trouble. Now they added Robert Quinn to the mix, so he can win one-on-one. Anyway.
When you hear that quote, I didn't come here to run the I. You're a player now and an alumni. How does that sit with you?
Yeah, to be honest with you, when someone told me he said it, I was just baffled. And I thought to myself, he must have been kidding and said it off record to somebody. But when you watch the film, he says that calling plays, right?
Yes.
Like, it's funny because I was rewatching some of those games, guys, and I was thinking to myself, the gods of football in Chicago, like Coach Nagy must be on the sideline cheering against that run working, right? He must be like, I'm going to call this run. I'm going to hope this damn thing doesn't work. And to be honest with you guys, I wish you guys were in the room with me because I was dying laughing watching the film because there were sometimes it was like I faced a good team was against, but they gave Montgomery the ball and he made like 2 guys miss in the backfield and gained 15 yards. And I think Coach Nagy must be on the sideline like, how the F did that just happen? And I got to call another eye formation play.
Coach Nagy, issues in the red zone. How do you think he could remedy this? And it's a 2-part question. Are you concerned about a coach of the charter franchise learning to be a head coach on the job?
Yeah, I think you are just because of what his expertise is supposed to be, right? His expertise is supposed to be offense. They ranked 29th in the league last year, and I'm worried about if when you watch them on film, if Coach Nagy will do what his players do best, or he's just going to do what he wants to do because and it's not like you hate to just keep killing this guy, but it's just you're not scoring points with a very good defense. The defense looks like it's poised to be really good again this year. I mean, I wouldn't want to see that front 7. Those guys are animals, man. So if they can stay healthy on that side of the ball, they're unbelievable. Like, he doesn't have an answer for what his run scheme is, right? That's not good.
Right.
You should know what your run scheme is, right? Your offensive line coach, who you've never been in a room with before.
You say, what?
Say
What? Either Harry Heaston or Juan Castillo. It shouldn't be our Heffert, who is the OC. Yep. It shouldn't be them who brings the run scheme to your scheme. You should already have your run scheme. And what baffles me is Coach Nagy said in London, he said, I'm going to get the run game fixed. And they ran it 7 times against the Saints. Now they had 2 fumbles, and I understand all that. But he does things at center I haven't seen a lot of guys do. But it's not valued in the scheme. Okay, it's not valued. A one-on-one block on a big, strong nose guard is not valued in the Chicago Bears scheme as much as say.
Well, Coach, keep it 100 because I know he's your boy. He's a friend. He's a mentor. Was he fired as a scapegoat or because his philosophy didn't fit what Matt Nagy and there was tension there?
I think, to be fair to everybody,
yeah,
I think that it was just the 2 guys, their philosophies did not fit together. I think that if you look at, okay, if we keep it real here,
yep,
Dave Bergone's still in the building. Like, Mitch Trubisky's only gotten worse, right? So why is he still in the building, right? So that's just because him and Coach Nagy get along, or they believe the same things or the same concepts. You know what I'm trying to say here now? So I was watching film, and I'm like, I seen Coward, Lucas, and I seen Jasper Horsted they ran at those 3. And I tell you what, in Vegas, the odds are not very good. That play working.
Yeah.
Those 3 guys on that side of the line. So look, I know, like you guys said, I know Harry, and Harry is. You guys will love him. He's in your face. I got to do better, Olin. I have to coach him better. My guys have to play better. That's all you hear from Harry Easton. He still hasn't said a bad word about Coach Nagy and the Chicago Bears. That's just who he is. He's going to try to coach his guys. He takes the blame for what happened last year. They did not have a good year. But as analysts, as we are, there's a lot of reasons for that, right?
Exactly.
And the thing that really bugs me is, like you said, take the fact that Harry Easton is a really good friend of mine out of the conversation. The guy is one of the most respected offensive line coach, maybe in football. I mean, people love this guy. Always coaches ball, coaches it the right way. A young general manager and a young head coach, both of them under 44, sat in a room at Hallis Hall and decided that the way they improved their team was to fire Harry Easton, right? So that to me is, if I'm the owner, if I'm George McCaskey, I walk in a room and I go, guys, you're gonna have to convince me of this. How we get better by throwing Harry Easton out of our building.
Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Oh, shit!
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Nah. A Bears ballroom, they're the ones that fight for truth. Every week on 100 Proof, even if the Bears win or lose. A Bears ballroom, they're the ones that fight for truth. Every week on 100 Proof, no matter if the Bears win or lose. Yo, first, the smartest man, no tweets, he's ever missing. Impossible, the mission, call out frauds with precision. A Bears 100 Proof, these faces #1 adorer. Slaying dumb tweets, cross-eyed like Katora. Never one to back down, should be calling a fraud. Our dumbest tweets of the week, the mailman goes all out. Cheers, Bears fans. The fire Puerto Rican barkeeping for Chicagoland. He's the godfather, the one, the real producer. Always keeping the show together with the voice that will seduce us. Trubisky now the Firefox, the old timer never stops. IPAs, drafts, malts, craft, Sparky takes the shots. No denial. Bomb flies appreciated worldwide. Canada, Scotland, England, Brazil, Mexico, and Dubai. Dr. Phil is the guy, the one to realize that the barroom needed a show with an endless suit supply. Go big coat fought the narrative on color, brought the Jasons of get paid for Mitchell. Now I'm the usher. Standing up for the truth, 100 Proof with the guys. Almost burned off the show, but I came back for the bar flies. Flies. Fuck a fraud and his keyboard Twitter tough guys surround us. Raining truth on the Bears worldwide, barflies astound us. This is the #1 pod, that's the reality of the truth. And if you don't know us by now, Bears 100 Proof. A Bears ballroom, they're the ones that fight for truth. Every week on 100 Proof, even if the Bears win or lose. A Bears ballroom, they're the ones that fight for truth.
We've had had good conversations. I mean, I'm going to handle it the way I know how, and that's just to show everybody who I am. Go out there, compete, be myself, be the competitive person I am, and prove to my teammates and to Coach Nagy that I deserve to be the starter on this team, and that I still am a leader of this team, and I give us the best chance to go out there and win games. So I'm very confident about where I'm at right now and what I can still do for this team. And me and Coach have had great conversations about how we can just fix the problems and of what happened last year and how we can get better for this year. So it's been all positive conversation, and Coach Nagy and I are both competitive people, and we just want to win games and do what's best for this team.
Cheers, Bears fans! This is 100 Proof. You just heard Mitchell Trubisky from his press conference on Friday talking about his conversations with head coach Matt Nagy. My name is Aldo Gandia. I serve the drinks in this raucous, rowdy Rollhouse bar. But don't you worry, the stars of our show are here. They are, of course, Shane, the smartest man in the barroom, Marsall, Draft Dr. Philotoshin, and the chatterbaiter, Greg Braggs, is here too. Welcome to this special Sunday morning edition of 100 Proof, as this upcoming Wednesday, we're taking that day off. But don't worry, we might have some surprises for you on Wednesday. Nonetheless, let me bring in the crew right now, and we start with Shane. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Ready to go. I got my bottle of water here in tribute to Mitch. Switched over to a solid piece of glass to drink from, to hide behind a little bit. Got his little binky going on. No, I'm ready to break this down and see where we're headed. We're getting back to a little bit of normalcy here in everyday life. So that means football is around the corner, and I couldn't be happier about that.
Yes. Draft Dr. Phil, how are you doing?
How you doing, bros? It's good to be back on the air. We worked out the technical difficulties. Unfortunately, Mitch Trubisky has the Greg Braggs camera and the internet connection. Not only does Greg love him, but they also share the same video and internet connection. So, multi-million-dollar quarterback. Can we upgrade the system at his house? I thought,
it's not Mitch's fault, Phil. It's everybody else's fault.
I've got lots of clips of Mitch Trubisky frozen and he's talking and stuff. So, but thanks to the Chicago Bears organization for providing all this great video and audio that we're going to be sharing with you over the next hour. Greg, you look very busy there. Are you jerking off?
He's on mute. His best spot.
Yes, I am. I'm getting the chat in order, getting all our ducks in a row. I said in the chat I was actually proud of all the people that are in there, because this kind of separates who's the alcoholics and who isn't. Who can make it
Exactly.
to an 8 a.m. show. So some are saying they're drinking right now, though, currently. So, it is the bar room.
This reminds me of like Sesame Street, was it? Or was it the Electric Company when we were kids? Like, one of these kids is doing his own thing. Who's doing their own thing? This guy. Wait, this guy. Wait, this guy.
Company, I think.
This guy. Greg.
There he is.
He's wearing a Cub shirt. Everyone else is rocking their Bears barroom swag.
I've been wearing that black shirt.
Check this
Oh
out.
my God! Look at this guy with phone covers.
Acevedo, fucking stressed out.
Acevedo.
Can't even make these yet. This kid.
He's got a
I'm
stress
kidding.
ball.
I'm kidding now. I'm kidding. Damn.
Oh man, Greg.
Hey, so this show is dedicated to Mitchell Trubisky. As you can see, Greg's got the orange jersey up on his wall. I've got the navy blue one back on my wall, and Shane has got Evan Hester up on his.
Shane will not be hanging Mitch jerseys.
You got a lot of jerseys, Greg.
I do.
Like framed, I mean. You got them all
No, they're not
up.
framed. No, they're all in a closet. I used to have
Then
a
you
room
just
upstairs.
throw it in the box for every
Yeah,
shelf?
it's a shadow box. So I've been
Jenny and Barb
I've been
haven't taken
changing
him to Michael's to frame him for Greg yet.
No, the way I want them framed, it's really expensive. Like Shane's is nicely framed. You'd be surprised how much they charge for that.
Oh my
God!
God!
I do have
you
a lot
kid.
of 20. I have
ridiculous.
20 years of going to camps. I have a lot of cool jerseys signed, but no, I don't have them nicely framed. They're all in a closet, so I figured I'd keep changing them out for, whatever my mood feels, and obviously this is the Trubisky day, so had
Greg,
to
you
honor
can come
my
out of
guy.
the closet. This is 100 proof, bro.
What do you mean? My love? You want me to declare my love for Mitchell Trubisky in front of all of you?
No,
Yes, I love this guy.
Wait, you're pro Mitch. Are you serious?
I am. And that's nothing to take away from Nick Foles. I'm just pro Mitch, and I was proud of some of the things he said yesterday. Or 2 days ago.
We're going to get into it.
We're going to get into it. But before we do, I want to actually start out the show with a couple of shout outs. And number one, to Draft Dr. Phil for figuring out what the technical problem was and getting us on the air here. So thank you very much, Phil, for that. And thank you to all of the people who were patient to sit through the 10 minutes or so that we were figuring out what the hell Aldo was doing wrong. So that's a shout out. The other thing that I want to shout out is the video that Phil edited of the Olin Kreutz highlights from our Wednesday show. And again, if you have not seen that, it really would be a great thing for you to see because Olin was just simply magnificent. And I wanted to ask Shane and Phil this question. When we had Doug Plank on, and Greg, feel free to jump in here too. When we had Doug Plank on, one of the things that Plank talked about was, former players should be in the coaching or in the front office and so forth. There is so much talent from the former Chicago Bears brethren that it's a waste. And listening to Olin Kreutz just rekindled that for me. This guy should be advising in some capacity, not working for NBC Sports Chicago. No offense, NBC Sports, but he should definitely be advising because everything that he said was 100, man. It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that interview was, I said to Greg, is the best I've been a part of on this network. And there's a lot of great ones that have been on this network. But Olin, you never know what to expect when you have a guest, even with Olin. I don't know how deep he's going to go. So in trying to pull those highlights, I know I saw Shane's joke on me. It was me and Olin promo.
I was waiting for my one question to get in there. I waited 7 minutes and 35 seconds.
You had a great interview, Phil.
It was great. That was
Listen,
a highlight show.
There's an hour and 15 minutes. I truthfully shared with Shane and I believe barfly Ryan Cox. It was almost impossible to get it down into 5 minutes. It went to 7, and I'm sorry, your questions didn't make the cut, but they did make the cut. They did make the cut.
Now you know how I feel, Shane. He did the same shit for the Josh Woods thing. He put all you guys and he left me out.
Yep.
How he is. I left. It's hard to do it's very difficult to get.
It's hard.
Those were the top
out
things.
Of a highlight package.
You know what? He works. You know what? To defend him, and I hate defending Phil because I like to give him shit more than I like to defend him. But he works hard on these, and I haven't been talking to him. I've been working so hard, so I can't complain if I don't see it on the cutting room floor.
There's a lot to go through, in all honesty, and when he says this coach is not even in the same room as his offensive line coach, I mean, that is I just don't I don't think when you're listening or. You got to just hear these little key nuggets. And going through it, those were the most important ones. And when he, finally ends on, if I'm George McCaskey, and basically came out and said, if that's the scapegoat, one of the best coaches in all of football, then there's an issue here. And we've been saying that forever. So to get these quotes and have him be so... not only passionate because he loves the game of football, but be so fucking honest that you are a Bears fan. You don't get that interview anywhere else than 100 Proof. I'm sorry. You just don't. And thus, that just going through it, it's reminiscent of Khalil Mack. I mean, you hear about him talking about Mack. We talked about this. Here's coming from an offensive line. He's talking about Akeem Hicks, talk about this defense.
Then you're talking about offensive line play, running the football, stubbornness to run the I formation. He even doubled down on Mitch Trubisky, saying he's not the quarterback. Where do you get that? I mean, to me, if you haven't seen the whole interview and Shane's questions and Greg's questions, you should go over there and see it. But in truth, there is 2 Shane questions in there, but Olin answered those straight up. There's no lead to try to explain it. That's the only reason why Shane taking your shot at me. There's 3 of your questions answered in there.
It's 100 proof.
I know.
We have to take the shots.
Okay, I keep it 100 too.
Hey,
I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna call you a fucking bitch, cunt, and walk off the show.
Blame it on your family.
Let me share this clip that Phil left in. Take a look at Shane's reaction when Olin is talking about the Bears running behind the right side of the line.
Oh yeah,
this is my eyes. Yeah. I noticed it too.
look at his reaction right here. Like, yeah.
He looks like.
Oh, I noticed it. He got me fired up, ready to go. This has been the problem at Hallis Hall, though. Olin is a no nonsense. You heard it all the way back to Chris Ballard. You know, Chris Ballard would have been the GM, but he wanted to cut bait with Jay Cutler. He knew the inner workings of Hallis Hall. He knew whose ass needed to be kissed all the time and who he didn't want a part of. They didn't want to hear that, and it's the same type of thing now. Olin would be a guy that you would get in there, no nonsense, isn't gonna pacify people. He's gonna tell them flat out. You heard him, like Phil just said, when he talked to Mitch. He's not a Mitch guy. He doesn't believe that Mitch is going to be the quarterback that is going to get the Bears where they need to go. And probably behind the scenes, maybe ownership, maybe Ryan Pace doesn't exactly want to hear that. And this, you talk about a pandemic, not to degrade what's going on in the real world today, but with the Bears, it's very, very true. Olin, as a team leader, no nonsense guy, goes to the head coach and says, our offensive line sucks. It's terrible. Oh, we're going to get you, big guy. Think about that. Then you go out and put $92 million into Julius Peppers, which, hey, there was more parts to that. Gaines Adams, you gave up a second rounder for. The guy unexpectedly dies at 26 years old. But again, it's the same type of thing. They're going to earmark these positions that they want to dump funds into, and offensive line just doesn't seem to be a big focus for Matt Nagy or for Ryan Pace. And unfortunately, these guys all are getting at the end of the rope. I don't think that they're unless we have 2 wins this year, I don't think they're going anywhere. But there's got to be a philosophical change within the organization to go after things that matter and not care so much about, outside influences and public perceptions. Just go get guys that can play football, hard-nosed football players, and I think that would go a real long way in Chicago.
Well, and I think that what I've noticed, a common theme listening to Olin, listening to Doug Plank, listening to Mike Ditka on this network, and maybe even some of the guys I've heard in different radio airwaves, the old school mentality still holds for some of these guys. And that's what you hear, like Olin talking about. If you want to run the football, you got to be determined to do it. You got to really commit to it. And this is like the new era of football where everything is spread out, everyone's throwing. But as Olin said, there's only like 5 quarterbacks in the league that can truly carry that water. So it's a question of, how do the Bears ever come, if they're going to try to enter the new era of what football is, how do you come off of that when you've been a foundation of running and defense for so long?
Well, it's really important. I mean, if you're a fan of the network or the Bears, a fanatic, if you will, you have to watch the interview with Olin Kreutz. I went away. I got so many DMs and texts. I'm like, just share this out to the world, guys, because I think other people need to realize the only way to change. Aldo did a hashtag Firefox, and people laughed. Then I wrote a rap song. That was my first music on here, inspired by Shane and Aldo, to their credit. Shane's probably pissed that he's looking back. But the reality is, it did do something. It did do something. It did do something. And this is the scariest thing for me as a football coach, and I get goosebumps in this, and a fan of the Bears. My father was on this network. My uncle, Sam Rutigliano, was on this network. What is the bottom line in this business? It's to win. For me, it seems like Chicago, it's to be making money. And that's where the political lines of football and politics in this political crazy world that we've talked about openly on here. And gained fans and lost fans, whatever. But the reality is the Chicago Bears is the religion that we need to. And to answer Aldo's original thought, there has to be a change. Get Ted Phillips the fuck out. It's got to happen. We've talked about it with Plank, with getting Fensick or somebody in there that's a football person first, that has business understandings, but at the end of the day, they're going to be able to take that next step and putting the product on the field first, the talent there. It should not have to come to this crazy, 2 second-round picks. We can argue all day of how you should have went, but the reality is Olin knocked it out of the park. It's just step for step in course with what we've been analyzing all year. And somebody like him being up there to say, hey, we need a Ballard in here that knows this and wants Phillips out and he wants Jay Cutler out. And that's what the stigma's attached with ownership. No, ownership owns football rules because the only way you make money is the product on the field. But in this game of NFL football, it's like a water fountain. It's always in service. You're always getting bills flying out for you because all of us love this game and love the Bears so much. So if you get lax sitting on top and you're still making money, then you're okay. We as fans, we as analysts need to charge or storm the fucking Hallis Hall Castle and get this team back. I totally think it's not ridiculous, Aldo, that Bears need to get someone like Olin or Fensick or someone with bloodlines attached to this franchise that loves it in the way we love it. I love it. Because at the end of the day, what's going to matter most to the city, the fans? It's winning. It's winning. And if your fucking coach isn't meeting with the offensive line coach, and there's so many fucking great nuggets in this whole thing, but when he says about the reality of getting pissed off because David Montgomery just went for 15 yards, I got to call another I formation play. We saw this stubbornness, Aldo. I remember you almost in tears on last call. We couldn't believe that he said that. And unfortunately, that's what we shouldn't be what Shane said. Unfortunately, they're at the end of the ropes, but they're not going anywhere. Fuck that. Get rid of this motherfucker. If he can't do what's best for the Bears and their team, if you don't know what your team does great and you can't change it, like, I don't give a shit. I run the run and shoot. I was at Hofstra running the run and shoot. And if that's my mindset going in and my talent says, no, we need to run the I run the I. I run the I. Because I want to be successful for my team, not me. That comes on the back end. That comes after. You become a legend later. Do what's best for your team. It gets me so fired up. Now, he could have learned. That's all we're at right now. Praying that he did. Right? He retracted his original stance on preseason football. He's going to play these guys. He made a competition, Aldo, me and you We're step for step. We hope that it's real. So maybe he's learning. But all I'm saying, you don't change unless you hold someone's feet to the fire. And I'm there. I'm at the edge of my... It's like how I feel in race relations here. I'm at the end of caring about people's racist actions. I will stand up and speak from now on. I'm never going to let it go. I'm doing the same thing here with the Bears. Someone like Kreutz, Fensick, loves this team, needs to fucking get in there and change it. Because it's never going to change if we just talk about it. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. We'll figure it out. That ain't the East Coast mentality. You figure the fucker out. You don't go in for breaks to get fixed and come out with fucking rotors that are fucking squeaking. You fix it all. Fix it all.
Well, in business and in football, everything matters, even the little things. And I mean, this is totally off topic, but I'll just bring up something. Even like the Madden football game, the Bears will come out and say that Ted Phillips doesn't have anything to do with the day-to-day operations of the Chicago Bears. He doesn't make any football decisions. You turn on the Madden game, who's the representative of the Bears as the owner on the Madden game? Ted Phillips. His picture is up there in the Madden game. So when you're talking about that perception matters, our kids play that and they're like, oh, that's the owner of the Bears. They're not going to know all the inner workings and all the details. That right there is the owner of the Chicago Bears. It's Ted Phillips. That's who it is. If he has nothing to do with it, why is he promoted as that in something as little or as big as Madden football?
And I don't think, I'd love for it to be a former Chicago Bear if he's equipped to take on the job. As you mentioned, Chris Ballard was in this house, and people, look what he's doing in Indianapolis. I think anybody would take a GM like that. But I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. I just want an NFL guy at the top. Is that too much ask? I know it's worked with John Elway with the Broncos, right. But look at, Lynch over there in San Francisco. Just get me a football guy. I've been saying for years since I saw Peyton Manning walk through Hallis Hall and have a little connection with Mitch that I thought he would have been a great guy to have as a president of football operations. You just don't even fire Ted. Just push him to the side and let's get a football guy in here that's respected by the league and, is a little more up to date with the times. That's how I see it. I'd love to have a Fensick, but, like I said, I've been saying for a few years, I think a Peyton Manning would be a great fit.
Well, don't hire an outside firm to do it. Get George McCaskey to sit down and find, because you're right, Greg, it could be Peyton Manning. It could be Drew Brees could retire next year, and it could be him. It could be Mike Singletary up at the top. I know a lot of people don't like the guy, and he's terrible as a coach, blah, 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 his high school team. But you need someone who understands value versus... I see you guys. Don't buy their shit. Don't buy tickets. That's impossible. I get it. What you can do is speak up. That's the only way, because it's impossible to have people stop loving the game of football, loving the Bears. You can't accept what has happened over and over and over and over again. There's one constant there. I know we've had guests on here and they've broken it down and what have you, but I know from my own uncle, there is a problem in Chicago and it's at the top. That's his quote. He's been in the league for 50 years. So let's change that and stand for that. Let's fix that, because Pace, Nagy, Fox, Geron, all the way down, Tressman, they're all hired by the same people. You see? So now you get someone in there that football is number one. We're gonna sell fucking swag. You're gonna sell tickets. Everybody loves the Bears. Everybody. It's unbelievable. I go to the store, there's Bears fans in Connecticut. All over the place. I go to South Carolina, there's Bears fans at Myrtle Beach. Oh shit, go Bears. It's everywhere. So it's never going to stop. What needs to stop and be addressed, and we didn't even, again, no script here, just inspired by Olin Kreutz. Somebody like him needs to be put in a position of power in regards to the football team. That's it. It starts with Olin for me. It starts with Doug Plank and Gary Fensick. Those are 3 names right there. Sit down with George. Sit down and talk and get this shit figured out. Obviously, it's not going to happen now. But on 100 proof, we keep it 100. Shane pointing out a little thing, just like he did, and I thought of him in Mitch's presser with the goddamn quote in the background. That's there purposefully. And we're going to get into that, but just like Ted Phillips is there purposefully on Madden because he's got a big ego, and he certainly was on stage at the 100th year anniversary, wasn't he? Everybody that was there, he was there. He ain't hiding in the back. He ain't fucking counting, doing figures with cars. He's fucking standing on stage talking about this is going to be a Super Bowl. And I'm here. Oh, yeah, well, we got big hopes here. You went fucking 8-8. Let's fix the coach. Hold his ass accountable. Say you're fired if you don't get past 8-8. Hold these fuck money. You make plenty. You can pay 7 coaches. You can. There's no cap on coach. So you fuck a coach. You get the right coach in there. You make a mistake. You know you got the wrong guy. He's over his head. He's an offensive coordinator or a position coach at best. You fucking own it and change it. Own it and change it.
There you go. Shane, I want to transition now to the Mitchell Trubisky press conference, and I want to and I'm going to bring Greg in here because he is the barroom's chief Trubisky lover. But
look at him.
Before we start playing some sound bites and then react to that, I just want to get everyone's reaction to the totality of that 20-minute press conference and how you feel. Shane, why don't you start us off?
You just on the totality of it?
Yeah, your feelings about, after watching the entire thing, your feelings about Mitch.
Not a lot changed. I mean, I think I was up and down with it a little bit because, listen, you want this to work out so bad. I find myself digging into every single word that he says, and I'm like, all right, yeah, now he gets it. And then he'll follow that up with something else. I'm like, this is same old Mitch. And then the whole water thing. And I know the thing that bothered me most of all, I like Mitch taking the shot at the media and at the haters with what Phil just mentioned, the very, very scripted placement of the quote in the background. Although I sent it to you on Slack. I don't know if you have it or if you want to
maybe you can
put it up. Yeah.
Sure, I'll look for that.
When Mitch was on before and when he was on with Chase Dan, that stuff wasn't up in April, so he knew. I mean, this is something that it was very, very scripted to get his feelings across. The thing that I don't like is it's a fucking picture. It's a quote. Go out there and do it. To me, the more I think about that, the reason that was up there because it bothers Mitch. He thinks about it constantly. And that's Mitch on the field, who's an overthinker, who doesn't just go out there and play. He overthinks every single situation.
Here it is. The man in the arena.
Yeah, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out who the strong man stumbles or where the door. Jesus, I need my
doer. Would you like me to read it?
Could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement? The Bears don't. And who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And that quote is from Theodore Roosevelt. Like I said, it is a great quote. It is.
It is. A lot of players live by that quote. He's not the only one. Now, I agree he did it as a message.
Right.
But you're looking at it, oh, there's Pussy Boy Mitch that can't.
I'm not saying
is mad at the people that hate on him, but I see chip on my shoulder Mitch that's ready to go tell all those.
Why isn't the chip on his shoulder anyway, Greg?
Well,
why?
I mean, they sucked last year.
Why did it take the Nick Foles trade to say now I'm even more motivated? You should have been. You were the number 2 pick in the draft. He should be motivated when he watches Deshaun Watson play.
Dude, we just got done watching The Last Dance, the greatest athlete and player of all time, literally making up stuff to get hyped up about. There's this random player that didn't even say anything to him after a game, and he made up a story just so he could drop 40 on him the next day. I mean, that's what players do.
Greg, you're comparing a fucking mountain to Mitch and Michael Jordan.
I'm just talking about mentality. I'm not talking about talent.
Even then, the mentality, it's not even in the same fucking stratosphere. Trubisky, you think Michael Jordan worried about what was on the fucking TVs?
All players feed off of the critics. I mean,
sure, but
the Lovey Bears were always me against the world. The media doesn't believe in us.
I'm not buying that. I think everything affects.
Lance Briggs had Carmen DeFalco. Lance Briggs bet Carmen DeFalco they'd start the season 4-0 in 2011. They did, and Carmen had to shave his head for it. They feed off that stuff.
They feed off it, Greg. I understand that. That's the part that drives a lot of them, but it affects Mitch publicly, and you can see it every day. You can see it when the kid speaks. I know you guys say it doesn't matter. The man the fuck up statement, I think that is something that they repeatedly behind the scenes pound into Mitch's head all the time. Mitch, if you go out there and you fuck up, don't worry about it. Be better the next play. But to me, it seems like he goes back and he worries about the perception that's going to come with that. Patrick Mahomes counting off the fingers, all that shit bothers Mitch. I'm going to put up a quote back here because I'm going to show them now I'm driven. Just go out there and do it.
That's another point. Mahomes putting up the fingers is another. Mahomes was bothered that he was taken behind those guys, and it works for him because he's balling. It doesn't work when you suck, but they all have the same competitive, angry against the world mentality.
Right, but have you ever seen if Deshaun Watson tears his ACL as a rookie? Did you see him get up there and be totally dejected and I'm going to read books because I'm a leader? That's what leaders do. No, just shut up with that shit. Don't put a fucking picture up behind you to send the message. Send the message with what you're doing on the football field. I think it's great that Mitch is organizing these practices. It's awesome. Tariq Cohen, Mitch is locked in today, man. This is great. That's practice. That's fine. It needs to translate to the football field, just like Nagy's BU bullshit. It's no different.
I know. They're the same kind of guy.
It is. Then you wonder
that stuff works when you win. That's what I'm saying.
Let me chime in with my thoughts because I think this is a coaching issue that is barred on this kid. I'm serious. When you look at the situation, I get both sides here. And I think both of you have great points. But when it comes to this, the culture, the BU culture was led by Nagy saying, well, let's turn out and tune out. And I think Mitch went up there and misspoke in regards to his coach telling him that. And thus that gets buried on him in the narrative. And listen, Mitch has all the talent. I've already said this. And people are going to be critical of him because he plays for the Bears. I haven't seen one quarterback survive here. Even McMahon, Hardball was ran out of town. All of them. Jay Cutler had the most talent I've ever seen in a quarterback. Him and John Elway on that same level. Everything you can ask for. And he couldn't do it here. What is it? Coincidence? System? Philosophy? It starts what we said again. Ted Phillips. They got the wrong coach maybe here. We have to see it. But as far as Mitch goes, I think I'm okay with the quote behind him. Because that shows me you give a fuck. Maybe he doesn't have the personality like me to come out and say, you know, fuck you, Hub. Fuck you. But
I give him credit for calling out Hub in his way that he did it, because it you know, Hub came off as a smarmy little bitch with the way
we're gonna get into all
yeah.
We haven't even got into these quotes. I felt with Shane up and down. I couldn't stop thinking about Shane with the goddamn water.
Me too. I was so waiting for the video to be released. I'm like, please don't be drinking water. And then he busted. I'm like, God damn it, son of a bitch.
Listen, I saw the comment that Aldo put up there that says that Shane's a hater, and then Bear Truth 9 was posting on Twitter that I'm a fucking fence rider with Mitch Trubisky, and I'm afraid to pick a side. But I mean, listen to the show for as long as we've been on, and I'm not a fence rider with that shit. I'm pointing out. I've talked about all of the positive. I've never said. Have you guys ever heard me say here that Mitch doesn't have all the talent in the world? Never said that. He's got everything that you want in a quarterback.
He's always been on. He's rehearsed and he's mentally challenged. His processing. You have referenced cars many times in that. I talked to Shane privately. He's never said to me, he's a fucking bust, Phil. Fuck that guy. No. He's always talking. It's always talking. And here's the whole caveat. There's a point where I'm watching this interview, Aldo, and I'm sure you're going to have it. And Mitch says, now he's talking, so I can't take everything literally because we don't know. But he says, well, now I'm focused more than ever. Now. And it shouldn't. To Shane's point, it shouldn't take Nick Foles in the locker room.
Exactly.
To do that. You should be, I'm the fucking second overall pick these fuckers traded up for me. I'm gonna know this shit backwards because it's my fucking job to do so. I don't give a fuck about his left foot going out, his right foot, his fucking tripping. I don't give a shit anything physical. Mentally, your job as an NFL quarterback is to know I don't give a fuck if this guy's a shoe salesman coach. Know his fucking system backwards and forwards, so at the very least, there's no misstep or mishaps in you mentally process. You know everything. Listen, I was a running back in high school, Aldo. I knew every fucking buddy's responsibility. Everybody. That's me. I love the game. I want to know what the fucking tight end is doing on a fucking delayed draw. So then I can process it and physically and not thinking about it, just do it and get to the hole and get outside because I know he's scoop blocking, blah, blah, blah. So for you to be at the highest of level at the Charter franchise, there's zero excuse. Zero. For Mitch not to know this offense.
And to one more point, Shane, when you were talking about the man the fuck up comment, I think that not only goes to when he reacts to a bad play he makes, I think it also speaks to how he reacts when one of his teammates doesn't make a play or a block or a catch. I think it's both of those.
Yeah, he needs to fucking get in someone's face. I think he gets
affected by, because when you listen to this interview, and I'm sure we're going to hear these clips, but he talks about the details and he's not just talking about himself. He's talking about everybody. So
this is 100 proof.
I think he's talking about how he gets frustrated because everyone's not, on the same page when they get to game day on Sunday.
No, I hear. And to Phil's point, talking about Mitch being so scripted, in the one point in the press conference, Mitch goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna know this offense I'm going to study it like the back of my hand. Well, you're going to study it like the back of your hand. That's not even the right fucking phrase, Mitch, but he was so scripted, great. What are you looking at, Mitch? I'm studying. What the fuck? You didn't even say it the right way because he's so regimented. Listen, I don't know if he does this or not. I would be willing to bet Mitch writes shit down before something like this. And let's not forget, if you saw a different Mitch was in his own environment at his home. He wasn't standing up in front of 75 media attacking him for something that went bad. And he was still all over the place in his house, in his office. I wanted nothing more than for Mitch to come out and be fucking forceful and say, yeah, you're damn right I was pissed off they brought in Nick Foles because this is my team. I'm not giving this up to anybody. Nick is a great guy. Nick has had success in this league. The Chicago Bears are my team, and I'm not going down without a fight. Mitch can try to fight next to me just as hard. He's going to be my teammate. I'm not handing over the reins to this team because this is my team. I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to win it. And it could have been fucking point blank that quick. Enough with the overthinking and giving the fucking analogies and all of that stuff. He overthinks in press conferences, and it translates over to the field. I'm sure it does in the classroom, everything. He overanalyzes everything, and you cannot be an effective football player. Phil, you can speak to this better than anybody. If you're out there studying things like the back of your hand, Mitch, you're thinking too much. Man up. Go out and play. If you fuck up, you fuck up. There's going to be mistakes always. But it's just I feel like the death of Mitch Trubisky in Chicago is that all of the bullshit that we talk about, the media is mostly horrific. We get it. It's a tough place to play. But you just got to go out there. There would be nobody bigger in Chicago sports right now if Mitch went out there and fucking balled out and took this team to the playoffs and won the fucking Super Bowl. He'd be the fucking king. He could tell Hub Arkush in a Zoom meeting to go fuck himself, and it wouldn't fucking put a dent in his armor. Just go out there. You're on this team right now. Don't blow it. Go play football. Don't give a shit about what anybody thinks, Mitch. You have the talent. It's evident. We can all see it. What separates everybody, like Greg was saying with MJ, he was a fucking assassin mentally. He was better than everybody mentally. But that's how he got there.
It's about winning. The Cubs, they fucking had slogans and fucking brought in balloon tricks and musicians to the locker room, and everyone loved it in 2016. It was BU, but it was we are good, and we had all these different slogans and shirts, but they were good, and they won. And that's why we embrace it. And 3 years later, they ran all of them out of town because they're sick of... Chicago doesn't like that hokey slogan bullshit unless you're good. You gotta win. You can't... That's my point. I just think people... The club dub, everybody was all about it until they stopped winning. Same with all this stuff. What you're saying right now, he'd be a god in this city. Well, you think his... press conferences are going to change if they start doing well? He's going to do the same MO, company line Mitch when they're good, but it'll be embraced. It'll be, everyone will, lift him up and say how mature he is.
Greg, if you're doing that, if you're being, Mr. Fence Rider and talking on both sides, that's fine. And yeah, obviously winning matters. Winning is if this was a winning franchise, everybody would be jerking Ted Phillips off. Who can But Mitch, the thing that is different, even when he had a good season, and I don't want to overrate it and say that it was a Pro Bowl. Did anybody look at Mitch in 2018 and say that's a Pro Bowl quarterback? I didn't. I'm just being honest. He was there. That's fine. Good for Mitch. That's great. He's going to sink or swim mentally. It's not going to be anything with how he reacts in press conferences. It's not going to be what he does in practice. It's going to be on game day. If he can read the defense, if he can maintain his footwork, everything. And it's just I'm so sick of the I've made my mechanics a focus this year. You're in year 4. You said the same shit last year.
Let me interject here because I want to get to these clips, but I also want to share a thought that I have regarding Mitch's press conference. There are a few things that I noticed. Is that number one, when he's talking about his focus on mechanics, Shane, what you just mentioned, I think that is the influence of the new quarterback coach, DeFilippo. I think he is really ingrained that, and that the previous guy, like Olin said, why is he still in the building? Wasn't really focused on that as much as he should have been. And I think that part of what he was sharing in that press conference is the new thinking that is coming from Laser and DeFilippo. I also think that during the press conference, and we'll detect it, I think, when we're hearing his isolated sound bites, is that he is not taking full accountability for what went wrong, and rightly so. As we have learned from Phil Cover Lies, there were breakdowns on the offensive line. There were breakdowns in wide receiver routes. There was breakdowns in the fucking play calling, and that Nagy did not adjust to what he had on the field and the strengths of his quarterback. There were breakdowns from A to Z, and Olin underscored that too with talking about the differences in philosophy between the offensive line coach and the head coach / offensive coordinator. So there were a lot of fucking issues going on here with Matt Nagy. He deserves a lot of the blame. We're going to see. I got a couple of clips of things that he did wrong, and I want the draft Dr. Phil to respond to. About his processing, because number one thing that Matt Nagy shared with the press is that he wants Nagy to be better at reading plays and knowing the playbook and so forth. And so that, I think we all we will all agree here, all 4 of us, that is certainly something that he must do. So, So let's get to his first soundbite, which is his reaction to what's transpired over the off season.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting to me, but that's the business that we're in. I think I was kind of pissed off in a good way. I've been motivated ever since. I've been motivated since our season ended last year. I didn't feel like it went the way we wanted to, and we left a lot out there. But I'm excited for this year. I think it's going to be a good competition, and Foles has a crazy career as well, so it's been cool having him in our room talking ball. I know we're going to push each other, but I still feel like this is my team, and I'm excited for the competition and just get back on the field with my guys and show everybody what I can still do and how hard I've been working this offseason to help the Bears win games this year. So it's been interesting, but again, it's a business decision, and I'm all for the Bears getting better and helping us win games.
I almost wish the press conference would have ended there.
Do you remember back when Nagy talked after they acquired Nick Foles? Do you remember a quote from Matt Nagy saying, "Yeah, we talked. We let Mitch know what we were doing. We were talking to him about the trade, and Mitch was pissed off, but he was pissed off in a good way." He literally said those words that Mitch just repeated right there. Pissed off in a good way. I don't want to hear that you're motivated because of that. Like I said, just to me, like I said, I want nothing more than for this kid to go out and be what he's got the talent to be. I do. But everything is so goddamn scripted and rehearsed. Just like with this organization. It starts at the top and it goes all the way. Just go out there and be. You're damn right I was pissed. Yes, I was pissed. Come out and speak your truth. Good point, Greg.
Greg's on mute.
One of the shows that we're going to have on 100 Proof here on our video channel is lip reading.
Yes.
Throw everybody out of there.
Well, they say, we could do $1 for every time someone talks with the mute mic. That's how you learn, I guess. But no, what I was going to say, like Cars was saying on Twitter, like, I just wish he wouldn't talk. Well, he has to. It's a presser. It's a 20-minute presser. So that's why you're going to go up and down. But Shane, you were the one just a few days ago saying you wanted him to say, this is my fucking team. He said that. That's why I knew you were going to take something from the water, and I knew you weren't going to like the picture.
There's a big difference.
But he said what you wanted him to say. He said it. That's why I told you it doesn't matter what this dude says.
It does, Greg. It does, because it's going to take. It takes you behind the curtain. He's the same Mitch. You're telling me that if it's like getting a text from somebody.
I thought he said more than I would have expected. I thought he was going to be even more condensed. He said, this is my team. He said he has the competitive edge over Foles. He said, I'm still the leader. Those were the things you were asking for 5 days ago. Now, you can't just end the interview after that.
Nobody said to end in your interview, Greg, but you're also saying if you say something, there's only one way to take it. Like, if I send you a text that says you're an asshole, there's a lot of different ways that you can take that. It's going to be interpreted many, many different ways. Did Mitch come across to you as forceful and completely driven and motivated and pissed off? I was all over the map with Mitch. At some points, I was proud of him for making a little bit of a stance, and then other times, I was with Cars. I'm like, just shut up with the stuff that doesn't matter.
I am with Greg here. I
don't agree.
I didn't see rehearsed. I see.
You just said he was scripted 5 minutes ago.
No, I said it's if you listened, you can't be scripted. I think that he can't win in this situation in regards to everybody wanting him to do what? Be the leader. Where he was scripted is I don't understand how you're the NFL quarterback and saying now you're gonna. That's where I don't like.
Exactly. I'm even more motivated now.
Yeah,
that should never be a fucking question.
That I agree with. But to Greg's point too, that's why I was up and down with Mitch, and that's why I was saying for Aldo in the first place, take two. It's like Paula Abdul. You take 2 steps forward, take 3 back. Opposites attract. It's ridiculous when you look at it. Yeah. It's like he takes a step forward, then 2 steps back. But the reality is, he is who he is. I've always said this about Mitch, and we could go all on the air, all through the tape never lies. This fucking guy is doing things that people don't appreciate and don't respect, despite his shitty offensive line and receivers that don't run the right routes and a coach. All of the things Aldo said are from me with him talking this. So I'm in the middle here. When do you get fired the fuck up and say, Coach, you aren't going to ruin my career? Because at the end of the day, Mitch is on fucking Temptation Island by himself. And he's got to fight that back. So I'm waiting for Mitch to push back on everybody and take the onus on his shoulders like a Tom Brady, like a Drew Brees, like a Ben Roethlisberger. If he can't do that in this city, Chicago, that is so fucking harsh, like a fucking hurricane storm. In Miami, there's a fucking beach, and it's low tide, and it's beautiful all the time. In here, in Chicago, it's a fucking hurricane. And you got to stand there, face the media, and unfortunately, some people learn after they leave Chicago that they get better. Greg's breathing, I can hear, is louder than some fans in here. Jesus Christ.
Fucking kid mutes when he's not supposed to, and then he's mouth breathing over there. Staring at his World Series t-shirt. Oh, Jenny doesn't even know. Daddy's getting fired
I breathe heavy. I'm a heavy breather.
You shave that freaking mop off your face. You can get some air into your lungs.
Listen, I do have an update. Jim Larison has said yes. to shaving Greg's beard and head.
Bikini my outfit.
On the show, on 100 Proof. I talked
ready.
to you. So
I'm ready.
that's an update there. But back to this. Listen, I'm all about pressers, even more so than Shane, because I think that if you talk the talk, you better walk the walk. I just believe, as an athlete, I knew, and some of you that have played, I'm talking to you, that have played this game of football especially. It's a different game than baseball, basketball. Jordan could go out there, get smacked in the face. He don't want no more. He could be the greatest athlete. I've seen kids with great speed, fucking built like a brick shithouse, go out there, bully in the fucking school, fucking quit after a day of getting hit. It's a different mentality. Guess what? You talk to yourself all the time. You're like crazy. Like, I gotta fucking get this motherfucking middle linebacker. That motherfucker pinched me under the... I'm gonna fucking destroy... You're talking to yourself. Is Mitch talking to himself, or is he overthinking everything? No, I'm going to deliver this motherfucking dime. Look at the safety's crossing. Oh, I know exactly what this coverage is. Checks it out of it. That's knowing the whole thing. Now he can play what? Fast. When he's playing in the 2-minute drill, this motherfucker, I'll put in there, and I bet on him. I bet on him. Because I've seen it over and over and over again. And everybody reverts back to the Philadelphia game. I'll revert back to the fucking Baltimore game as a rookie. Watch him. He's just playing the game. When you get him in that place, he's good. So that's why it's so important that he knows this offense, which needs to be fucking condensed down. It does. You have 598 plays. No. You're trying to run tricks. You heard Olin. You heard me. There's no fucking loss in you saying we got to simplify to do our best. There's nothing. That's not a shot. That's how it should be. Do you teach your... Here's the dictionary, Tate and Dev. Read it. Learn it. You just learned the, a, and all your sight words. Now learn the dictionary. You don't do that. As a student of the game, you start small and then you expand. And then you don't even have your identity. That's how much I know this is on. And this is to all you Mitch haters. I know this is number one Coach Nagy's fault. Number one. It's not even a close. Shane could argue with me all day. But as a coach, I know it's on him. Mitch now has to get pissed off at him. And we asked, get competition in here. Light a fire under Mitch's ass. So I saw that. A glimpse of that. And then I see, well, now I'm going to work. Don't ever say that. I'm going to fucking work my ass off because that's what I do. And I'm the leader. So that's where I agree with Shane too. There's nothing wrong with saying that. So that's why I'm on both sides of this. But this kid, as long as it's fair, the competition, if it hasn't been what Olin's saying, it's going to be Foles. Because the head coach believes in Foles and not Mitch. If you don't give Mitch the opportunity to prove himself, then get rid of this fucking coach now. Stop wasting your time. Because you know what it's going to be? It's a guy that's a backup quarterback playing quarterback because you want to run your offense. Because you want to run your shitty offense. Guess what that gets you? 7 wins. Guarantee you that. If you go out there and make a competition, best man wins, and Mitch fucking runs the race and destroys it, then you've won. And then you do what... My father taught me this, my first fucking lesson. Aside from the team as a reflection of the head coach was probably my first. My second was, you do what your talent speaks. What your talent says you do. You have the best defense, in my opinion, on paper, in football. What do you think you should do in order to get to the playoffs? Because at the end of the day, fuck a Mitch, fuck everybody. You want to win? You fucking learn to run the ball, get your identity, and attack. Be different. Don't be you in this case, Nagy. Be different.
All right, I want to shift now to one of the sound bites that I think is going to spur on more debate here is Mitch talking about the challenge Matt Nagy laid on him, which was to focus on the playbook, to know the playbook better than anyone else, and to know how to read defenses better than anyone else. So he was asked about how can he focus on that when he's not playing against any defenses because of the pandemic.
It's definitely an emphasis for this year. I think just going back and watching every single snap from the last 2 seasons in this offense, and seeing the mistakes and what coverage it actually was versus what I was seeing on the field, and where Coach Nagy thought the ball should have went and where it actually went. So just fixing my mistakes in the film study, and then doing different visualization and communication things with Coach to get us on the same page. And just watching a lot of film, correcting my mistakes, and understanding a better understanding of the offense. So he challenged me in that, and I fully accepted it, as well as knowing the offense really, really well. So I'm just watching a lot of film and studying it like the back of my hand. So I'm excited to be a lot better in that area this year.
There it is. See that right there?
I knew it was coming.
Got the back of the hand analogy crossed off. We can move on to the next one.
All right, but and Phil, you're the scout and the guy that knows. I want to play a little video for you, because it seems to me, and from my layman's point of view, is that the RPOs is where Mitch had his biggest challenge. It just that the complicated system of reading, the outside backer coming in and reading what's going on in the secondary gave him fits, and there were times where he.
Aldo, I want a coach reach out to me about the RPO, what you're talking about, and this guy coaches college. He asked that I not, but he's like, if you're not going live reps and you're getting a front. Right? So that your read has to be all the time, not a guy holding a dummy. It has to be live and fast, because when you're in the NFL, it's faster than your fastest on practice. So if he's not getting live reps, then how are you going to run, especially and this coach is an RPO genius. I've asked him to come on the show, but that being said, I'm not making excuses up for Mitch, but there is a coaching issue if you're not running these things live to get your quarterback to understand it. It's like driving stick shift.
And Phil, don't forget, your quarterback is begging for that.
Begging
publicly.
For exactly.
This is, like I said, I know I'm coming across as completely anti-Mitch, and I am not. I'm not. But you have a quarterback that comes out and says, I am a reps guy. I'm a guy that craves reps. I get better with reps.
That's how you learn.
Exactly.
You learn from mistakes. And anyway, I just wanted to make that point, because the RPO thing, perfect. Here we go. We're playing against the Saints here.
There you go.
There's Joe Mandel, front row, no phone.
First down and 10. I've only isolated a couple plays, and then.
All right, this is great.
So
they're in the shotgun. You got a wing here.
Thank you.
I can't see the number, but I'm thinking it looks like it's number 81. I want to say it's
right.
J.P. Holtz as the wing, and then you got a short split inside the numbers. That's Anthony Miller and Taylor Gabriel up top in the slot, and Allen Robinson playing the outside receiver there and this is a shotgun formation. I had a question this week, what's the difference between shotgun and pistol? Pistol, you would see the back behind the quarterback. That's what makes a pistol. But go ahead.
I'm going to run the play, and then we'll rerun it again.
Okay. I haven't seen this play, so.
Yeah, I think you'll remember this play. Fake handoff.
Okay.
And then he's sacked. Now, you're going to – I isolated this here so that you can see, first of all, the happy feet that he gets. He immediately panics when he sees the rush coming.
So, slow it. Can you play it slow? Everything is blocked up, and he's looking after the read. So there is no read here. It's automatic pull, because if there was a read, he would have given, because there's nobody there. So it's automatic pull unless he was reading it wrong. Now he's looking straight for a receiver, and he's got a free runner coming backside because Bobby Massey, as you can see, is blocking down. That's the read, the free guy who's coming. I can't see his number clearly. So now he's waiting with the football. Look where his football is, down by his knee. See, now he's going to try to juke, and he gets sacked. Because in this situation, which looks like it's preordained pull and throw, and instead he can't see Taylor Gabriel there square up. See him?
Yep.
So Taylor Gabriel squares up wide open there. Dump it down. See him sitting right there? And instead, he feels the rush, and that's where it is. Again, you're just looking at this straightforward. He has this receiver, Allen Robinson, one-on-one, and he's running. Is he running a stop? No, he's just trotting. So he raises his hand. So
Phil, excuse me for interrupting.
Yeah.
Isn't he trotting there so that he can get into this open zone right here? Because
honestly,
safety is coming over to double. So he's giving Mitch the opportunity to get the ball into this window here. Isn't that what Mitch should have done, is release the ball to A-Rob there?
Gabriel.
I would have just delivered it to Gabriel. Because after,
Aldo, if you play that
if it was
out,
a pull, it should have been a give if it's RPO, run, pass option. Watch the guy that's the read, right? Aldo doesn't have him circled, but the guy above the circle, the white. JP Holtz is going outside. He's letting that guy go. If that guy goes down the line of scrimmage, he stayed. So it should have been a give where Montgomery just flies through the middle and gets 6. You even get a second level block by. So now if you throw it downfield, if you look at the whole big picture, you got our boy Rashad Coward illegally downfield there if he threw it.
Let's watch it one more time.
One more time. Watch Rashad Coward. He thinks it's run. This is easy.
All right.
Watch. He's the guard there where Aldo's thing. So he kisses and he gets to the second level. He's downfield. They're already sacked. So Mitch read it wrong. Would be my assessment, that he should have handed the ball off there. The end is staying still, and he would have went right through that hole and got you 6, maybe more, depending on.
And I don't know. I just feel like this was the read. He's looking all the way at A-Rob. Watch the defender.
He should have thrown. He could have thrown it there, Aldo.
It's sucked in. Watch the defender's feet. He stops.
Yep.
And he should have released that ball. A-Rob would have made that catch right around here. This safety would not got there in time, and that could have been a huge gain. Get the ball inside the red zone for
even if he dumps to Phil's point. Even if he dumps to Gabriel spins, and you have
There's nobody there.
You're minimally getting a first down out of that play with a quick guy like Gabriel, and then he's gonna
watch
he's got the
Gabriel.
one-on-one. Right, just
he's covered by a defensive line.
Right there, boom.
Right there.
See,
A-Rob's clearing. Yeah, that's the play.
Yeah,
but the RPO should have been a give. So that is on your quarterback now.
Right
now, going back to him overthinking, he should be ball up in the air. Go 1, 2, 3 because you are trapped, and deliver to Gabriel or Allen Robinson on a big play there.
But to your point, Phil, at the same time, Coward likely would have been flagged.
Right.
Like you said, if they missed that play. I mean, Seattle's famous for getting away with that, but still, it's better than getting sacked.
And remember, that's first down.
Right.
So
here's another first down RPO play. It's trips left with 11 personnel.
Adam Shaheen in the game.
Yeah, it's your tight end here.
He's not there the next down.
So let's see the play out, and then we can analyze it. Not there the next play down, that's for sure. All right, here it is. He immediately makes that wide receiver screen. And so, again, I thought you've got one-on-one coverage here with A-Rob on the outside. That should be the throw.
Well, this looks like a designed play call. Mm-hmm. See how it's already called there.
Yeah.
and it's
So
blocked
look,
up. Yep.
it's blocked up. I don't know what Shaheen does. Let's watch him. It's interesting. So they both double, which is wrong. See, the outside receiver should be going up onto the next guy. You leave that inside guy. That's the guy you're one-on-one with. That's where Anthony Miller's supposed to make his money. Those two guys are blocking the same guy. And this is coaching. Right off the rip, Gabriel should be pressing up the field and getting after that corner. Shaheen should be strong enough to handle. Is this a safety? I think it's the safety down in there. It might not be, actually. It's a corner. That's a fucking corner. He should be man enough to handle it. And the ball should get to Miller, and he should be able to beat whoever one-on-one. That's the play design. It's not even a read here. This is predetermined. You already could see. See how he clicks his head? There's not even a mesh, so it's not an RPO.
Let me ask you. You're right. My bad.
No problem.
Let me ask you this question: the left tackle.
Oh, let's watch the left. I didn't even watch him. What did he do here?
Well, go ahead. We'll watch.
Let's watch him. Oh my God! Oh my God! Holy!
It fucks up the play. And
it does fuck up the whole play. You're right.
Mitch's accuracy So here's an example, not so much of Mitch.
Exactly.
Misdiagnosing, but that Leno doesn't apply the proper block, which affects the throw.
Exactly. And, being average is good on some networks, but not here. If you recognize, look, let's count. Go back to the beginning of this play. This is fun. So watch in your head, fans watching in. Watch the snap and watch how long Leno only has to get in front of this guy for 2 seconds. And he's already in the face, affecting the pathway to accuracy, as I would say. So, yeah, Mitch gets the blame, but Leno does the shittiest job you could possibly do there as a left tackle.
And let's be honest, you can put this on Nagy too in terms of the personnel package. When you're going to be you're relying on your wide receivers to make blocks, and you're putting fucking Taylor Gabriel
18
out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
and to Aldo's point, listen, there's so much you could do. If he got to the line and you have a free check, you see that one-on-one matchup with 12, if he was able to check, we don't know. So he could say, diamond, diamond, diamond. Now everybody, that fucking wide receiver screen is called off because we got the look, the matchup. Remember, Olin said, inside the red zone, it's all about matchups. You got the matchup, one-on-one. Diamond, diamond, diamond. All goes. Or this left guy's running a deep in, whatever it is. Now, 1-2, he's throwing the fade. One-on-one matchup. Does he have that ability to do that? No. We don't know. I would say no. Not with Matt Nagy.
Greg, did you have a thought to share? I thought you.
Well, one thing I noticed on that second play was Miller kind of drops his arms after the play, and I think a lot of fans, they always trying to read how this team feels about Mitch. And as Phil said, Mitch gets all the blame there, but is he looking at Leno's missed block? Is that why he's shrugging his shoulders, or is he just pissed the play doesn't work? That was kind of what was going through my head there. And then I also think, obviously he misses the read. My question on the first play would have been to Phil, can he even see Gabriel? Because it seems so obvious. You just he's looking right there. You just think you check it down, but can he not see him?
That's definitely predetermined. Leno 0.0 proof is exactly. He gets, I said it from the beginning, accuracy is hindered by the pathway. You can't 1-2 deliver and have someone in your face on that play.
This is where I think Mitch talks.
You're preached 1-2 deliver. That play's predetermined. There's no RPO in that. He knew exactly that's what they're going. They got the look. You got a fucking 6'7", 265-pound tight end on a corner. That wasn't a safety. You could see single high. You see the strong safeties playing in the alley. So now you got the corner on the outside. Both corners on the left, you're in a nickel coverage. So now you're going to be able to get somebody up the field. That play should be fucking 15, 20 yards.
That's where I feel like Mitch talks about attention to detail, missing a lot of opportunities, leaving a lot of plays on the field, and that's his way of calling guys out. He's not going to be like, look, in this game, this is who screwed me specifically. That's I think as bold as he's going to go with.
I think he was calling out the entire offense, himself included, with that comment. Greg,
he said it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I think it comes down to Nagy with a lot of it. Obviously, Ragone, and it comes back to Mitch. You got to put in. It's always been an issue. Phil and I have talked about relentlessly with when he unlocks that left foot, how he friggin' sprays his accuracy goes all over the place when he unlocks that left foot and isn't consistent keeping it locked in. So to his credit, it wasn't just.
That's why it goes back to coaching. Exactly. I'm sorry, it does. And
you talked about Miller on that play, Greg, and I think it's a good point. Let's be honest. Anthony Miller's got the mindset that it's going to be a house call every time he touches the ball. It doesn't matter if there's 10 guys on him, and at that point, he wasn't getting a lot of burn. He wasn't getting a lot of balls because Washington was week 3?
Yep, that was when he was.
Yeah, exactly. So every opportunity was a golden opportunity for him. But Greg asked, do you think he could see Gabriel on that first play?
Like truly see him? I know he missed him.
On the first play.
On the first play. Can he truly see him? No, I went back on that. Was my question for the first play.
I got you.
Because I don't get it. Miller's. And then my other question too on the RPO is, so when the guy is coming off the edge free, isn't the read to the right where the guy is coming free because there should be an open guy there on the right? I don't,
it depends on how.
Because Miller was wide open there too.
But depends on the play design. Again, I'm guessing here. You see the fade, you see the stop curl. Obviously, it should have been a give. So because if the end crashes, we call it, then it's a pull. So if that's true RPO, so the quarterback's here, I'm looking straight at that defensive end. He's my read or last man on the line of scrimmage. Because you can see the wing outside releases. So he doesn't get flustered by that. He comes straight up the field and stands. That's a give. If he stands there, give. If he comes down, that means he's attacking the back. Now I pull, and I know the routes. Curl, fade, out. Curl, fade, out are my routes. Out isn't open, boom, I hit the curl. If I get up to the line of scrimmage, I see man to man, and I know the routes, and I've predetermined I'm pulling here. I'm doing it wrong. I can't predetermine RPO. Not based on coverage. It's all based on that edge rusher. You follow that whole thing, Greg? Okay, so if the edge comes down, that's why it's so much. Because you got to know give, you got to know your blocking assignments, and you got to know the routes. Like the back of your hand. Now, what happens if the guy runs the wrong route? You're throwing to you're 1-2, boom, here it is. Let me watch Anthony Miller. You could see it's zone. See how he passes? So Anthony Miller's in the curl. He's wide open too. So now he is in his head. I don't know where to go. And that's a showcase of.
That's what I don't get. So he's looking left, obviously, and he's always locked in on Allen. Does he not see Taylor?
I think he sees Taylor. I don't. We can't tell. Why don't you let go of the ball? That's the question.
He wants the big play. Well,
then he should have thrown the big play. He should, to Aldo's point, right there, see that left foot, how wide it is? He should let that go. Step and rip. You're getting the free run because you know in your head the end is the read. He should have given it. You could see the hole there.
Yeah, it's literally like 4 misses.
Exactly.
It's almost like he's overthinking, right, Phil? We've never seen that before.
Well, but then there's also context to this game. A, it was his first game back off his injury. B, the hottest fucking defense in the NFL at that time, the Saints. C, Nagy ran it 5 times in that game. And
7 times, but it
yeah,
was
well, 2 were
two fumbles.
reversed.
What does the
two
Saints
were
being
reverses.
hot have to do with
I'm just
hitting an
saying
open
because
guy?
they should have gotten the
Doesn't
because
even
it's
make sense.
you say it's about coach
Excuse.
because
That's why I missed the open guy.
it always is an excuse when you bring up different variables other than oh fuck Mitch. How about get in the I formation like Olin
I
Kreutz
didn't
said?
say fuck Mitch.
Get
I'm
in the
just saying-
fucking I formation and run the fucking ball. That's what.
But
It's
it could
not.
be
He
just a
just came
terrible
back. It's
play.
his
Fuck Mitch,
first week
Greg.
back. It's his first game back in 28
I'm
days.
saying, just imagine as a head
Greg is
coach getting there,
amped.
guys.
I get tired of it. There's context.
Guys, there's this team is real hot, so we're gonna miss some open guys today.
No, I mean he should have hit the play. I don't. What quarter
know.
is that? What quarter is that? What down is that? Where? How many times
First
did they
down.
run the ball at that point in the fucking game? That's where I get irritated. It's like all on
Exactly, base.
fucking Mitch to save the day. Always. You know, why isn't it? You know, and then if I, God forbid, bring up any other variable, it's you're a fucking ball washer.
I
just
love
think,
the fact that we got tape
all right, so
here
Greg,
too.
say-
This is great.
Say something that can even be remotely negative about Mitch.
no, that play's
what the masses
terrible.
want.
That play is
Yeah,
terrible.
but the Saints were hot, bro.
I'm just
They were hot. They were coming
I'm
in
just sa-
scorching.
That's why you fucking.
He's just
That's why
bringing
you.
a different
I'm
perspective.
talking
I
about
know.
scaling back your offense to against a
He
team.
could have. To
They
Greg's
were
point,
still in the game in the first half. I remember
This
I was
is-
drunk as piss that game.
let me help
Fucking-
you out here.
They were
This
fucking
is
in
where
it at halftime.
your coach has to take over. And no, listen, he's not strong in RPO. Let's get in the fucking 2 tight ends. It doesn't even have to be just getting 2 tight ends, and we're gonna just run. And we're just gonna run outside zone. And fucking run the ball. Because I think what was this dude's name? Shout out to this guy. I missed his name. But if you don't run the RPO, what have I said, Aldo? It starts with run pass option. Run pass. If you don't run, then you can't run your offense. So it's to fucking cut your nose off to spite your face. That's how frustrated I get watching this guy call plays. So when I break it down on the tape never lies, I see it from the first quarter to the last. And sometimes I only could go 30, 20. I used to only go, 16 minutes? And Aldo would be like, that's too much. I stressed it all the way up to 23 minutes because I wanted to give you the picture of the play calls, the offensive line. All of the issues are the reason
in this
for
game.
issues.
Now we come back to the RPO, and this is a log block. So the guard has to block that guy so the center can come
See?
around and get on that backer. But you got Charles missing and obviously James Daniels.
There you go. The log block. I love that play. That play would have been golden if you rewind back on that. If Leno cuts off.
What a throw by Mitch.
There's a great throw. Look at him in the pocket. Yeah, give him the throw. Here's the log. So the guard, James Daniels, does a great job here. Now the center's got to get around his ass and get up on the backer. See?
What did the tape never lies of the tape never lies have to say about this play, Phil?
James
the breakdown,
Daniels actually
the
did a
breakdown
shitty
of tape
job
never
there.
lies.
Breakdown of the breakdown.
Breakdown of the breakdown.
The West Coast.
I didn't realize this was coming up. This is great. But listen, the reality is with Mitch and any quarterback, you just have to understand that there's so much to go on that to me the coach is the biggest issue, the biggest Achilles heel in that situation because you got to know what your guy does best. And if it's not the RPO game and that's all you're thinking about, it goes back to Olin Kreutz's joke. David Montgomery breaks 2 tackles in the backfield, runs for 15 yards, and your coach, you got to be wondering, God damn it, I got to run another fucking play. That's the issue. No. Stay in the eye. Stay what's working. Challenge other teams. You had your identity. This team could have been in the playoffs if it weren't with all the issues with the offensive line, if it weren't for the head coach. That's the reality for me.
What are you riding? Somebody riding bulls and upstairs?
That's twins. Yeah, the twins are running around.
You bought them a couple of bulls to ride around?
Yeah.
They
Red
love
Bulls.
the twins. The twins are allowed to run around all they want.
I don't know what's going on up there.
All right, let's move on. I got some more sound bites. We're already almost 2 hours into the show, and I've already played a couple of sound bites. This next one is good question. I believe it was from Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune. He asked Mitch, what was the most, when you look back at 2019, what did you learn from that? What was the most frustrating thing? And so this is Mitchell.
It had to do with health and then lack of details on offense. So I think if we work on those two things, obviously health comes down to a little bit of luck and just having everybody's body ready to go for this season. And then we just got to be more detailed. We got to be more locked into our game plans week in and week out. Everybody's going to be on the same page. And when we get to Sundays, it's got to all be about execution. So I felt like we lacked details overall on offense, myself included, especially. And I think if we're on top of those this year and we just hold each other accountable to the standard that we know we're capable of, then we'll have a lot more success and win more games. But we definitely have the talent. I think it just comes down to being disciplined, playing smart football, and everybody doing their jobs to perfection. So those are two of the main focuses that I came away with looking at last year.
Thoughts?
I think right there, Mitch is telling you that probably his shoulder issue was a lot more in depth than anybody in the public knew. And I mean, let's be honest, even though it's your non-throwing shoulder, it's pretty important to have both shoulders functioning if you're going to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, it matters. That matters in your mechanics, obviously. Mm-hmm. And you're twisting and turning and looking left and looking right. Just imagine if you have a shredded shoulder. Getting out of bed is an issue for anybody, let alone playing in the NFL. And I think that's something that's probably not talked about, is that's a much bigger issue with Mitch's play. And you can bring the mental aspect of it into there, because Mitch is a classic overthinker. And if you're dealing with an injury to your left shoulder at the same time, you're not only trying to process the information in front of you, you're also trying to process your shoulder injury, saying, oh man, if I twist this way, or if I plant like this, if I get hit this way, is this going to knock me out for the next 5 games? So
remember when he didn't take that first down opportunity against Detroit, and he got dragged for that.
He should have been. He should have
just said. Yeah, people aren't giving him enough credit for maybe having a bigger deal with the shoulder injury.
I understand, Greg. But I think he even had time there to
because they got a first down on the next. Well, they got a first down on the next play.
Thankfully.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
protecting
that. Same time,
he's trying to protect his investment there.
Yeah,
on the shoulder.
Detroit's defense was hot though too, so that you gotta give them that. They were hot. They were hot.
They were not hot.
Yeah, they were
and
hot.
And if fucking Mitch doesn't get hurt in that Vikings game, they beat the Vikings, and then they go and beat the Raiders in London, and we have a totally different season. But when you say that kind of stuff, you sound like a fucking moron.
Are you calling yourself a moron?
Well, it's the truth. I'm just saying, people really like I'm an eternal optimist. So that's how but that
you are not, Greg. You're a hater.
I know. I am a hater. Only to you and fucking Phil. That's
what are you talking? Where did I say you were a hater?
No.
Why do I get lumped in with Shane?
He's joking.
Greg, all those questions and Phil's highlight video that you had for Olin, that just proves you're a hater. Go back and listen to the highlight.
Exactly.
Olin hating on Mitch. You can kick rocks. Get out of here, Olin. I don't like that shit.
Yeah, but no, it just goes back. If you're an overthinker, you're not just going to be an overthinker in certain facets of your life or in your game. And I think
injuries are part of the game.
Absolutely,
he's not going to hide from it this season either. Nick Foles is no stranger to those either. We're going to deal with it. This is going to be an ongoing issue.
Thank God our offensive line is so set in stone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's where it's like going this year. If they just handed Foles the keys and everybody this year's kind of actually paying attention to detail, as Mitch alluded to, they weren't last year. That's where it was going to like piss me off, and I want Mitch to get a fair shake because like let Nick Foles be the quarterback of last year's team coming out week one with that offensive line being a mess, guys not in their right spots. You know, Kyle Long probably not should be out there anymore, and no tight end available.
Well, and
period.
that's a key part to it, Greg, right there, because you're gonna see the differences. Now they're gonna have the ability to go 2 and even 3 tight ends, and that's gonna in turn help the offensive line.
Seriously, their tight end numbers last year had to have been the lowest totals for catches and total yards.
Greg, they had
for a
2
season in decades.
They had
in the
2
NFL.
completions in the red zone to a tight end. 2 for the
One
season.
was a touchdown.
touchdown.
The high for yards on the season for any tight end on the team was 109 or some shit. And the most catches for anybody on the team, I believe, was Trey Burton at 12. There are guys in the league that had that in a game. Probably like 30 guys in the league.
Wasn't the longest play by a tight end that little dump off to J.P. Holtz versus the Cowboys?
Yeah.
With tight end screen on the backside. He went down and
the
down to the
Cowboys.
17-yard line. Yeah, I hear Mitch say that, and I'm proud of him for saying that and speaking. I don't know Mitch personally. What I do know is all of the fluidity, if you will, the liquidity of the Chicago Bears offense last
Still
year.
wrong.
You're giving points here of reference with lowest tight end catches, terrible injuries on the offensive line, play calling
Tight ends
issues
on the roster.
And then what are you going to do in regards to assessing a quarterback? I've said this all the time. So for guys, and I love Cars, but guys like Cars and a lot of Trubisky haters, I just don't see a fair playing field to assess him. And my father called me this week because he watched the Olin Kreutz show, and he was like, you must have been a little upset with him when he was talking about Mitch the way he was. I mean, he kept it 100 about the coach, but he's like, I was expecting you to go back at him at Mitch, but I understood why you didn't. I go, yeah, we were an hour into the show when he said that, and I was like, I'm not going to go into the Mitch thing because then it would do what it is today. But we will have Olin on again, and I think it's imperative. Like, you can't have all these reasons of failure for your offense and then not give Mitch that, that curve as well on the test. It's just not fair. It's not fair by the national media. It's not fair by anybody that's watching the tape. Now, we can go into it and see mechanical shit and know your plays and all those things that we don't know inside the locker room. But the reality that I do know is I'm step for step with a lot of what Olin's saying. He doesn't have to tell me. He shows me in what he calls. And it's really not helping the entire offense, let alone his quarterback. Trust me, if I was the coach or the offensive coordinator, I should say, the play calling would be much, much different. Much, much. I would be erratic about down and distance and situational football. I just know in the NFL, in short down and distances, Olin brought it up. You're running the ball really well. Action game. We called it heavy pass. The fullback attacks the defensive end like he's going to block him out because you're running heavy there. And then he slips underneath it right into the flat. The linebacker has to step up. So you got a false step. So that gives you this much. Boom. Hit the fullback in the Tony Carter. Raymond Harris. Fucking Ty Halleck catching the ball in the flat. Bob Christian. You remember that? This play has been in the NFL for decades. It's on every level of football. Fullback in the flat. You can't stop it in the short yardage. You got to know when to call it. You got to have that feeling of football. Like Larison said last show, and Aldo could attest. The Bears are up fucking 28-3 against the Bucks, and I'm screaming at the head coach. Screaming at him because He's fucking doing all this gimmickry and trickery instead of using this time to do what he needed to do to get the best out of your playbook and the players. Run the ball. Remember, this is the same guy. I'm quoting in a paraphrase, Aldo. If I don't know how to get 24 the football, if we can't get number 24 the football, then I'm not doing my job. Guess what? They traded him out of town so he didn't have to get him the football. That's the fucking problem. Is Jordan Howard helpful to your football team? Fuck yeah, he is. Fuck yeah, he is. Don't give me no shit about his 40 time. His 40 time is hitting that. Remember Olin talk about letting said Ben? I'm going to hold my arm inside, let fucking Wilfork, because Cedric Benson's fucking leveling somebody. Well, guess what Jordan Howard does? He fucking gives the body blows. He's fucking doing that. So then Tariq was Tariq. Remember?
Yeah.
Because this motherfucker's kept boom, boom, 6, 8, 7, 5, boom, boom. And then this little water bug runs counter east-west and finds a crease and is gone. This guy's going to be a star. You don't have the body blows anymore because your coach is not calling the shots. He's not doing it. The run game is the remedy, the penicillin, if you will, to all the problems that the Bears have. So I don't give a fuck. I loved Olin's quote there about last chance you up at Hallis Hall. Because that's where I am too. You got all these coaches coming in. I don't know. I'm just going to be like this year. I have no hopes. I have no dreams. All I have is show me. Show me the money, Jerry. Show me the money now.
All right, guys, we are now moving into the next soundbite. You mentioned, Phil, that you were proud of Mitch Trubisky. Here's another reason to be proud of him, because he's reached out to his teammates to have individual workouts with them.
Yeah, I send them all a text. I do it individually. That's the key. So don't do group text because then everyone doesn't reply. You got to do it individually so each person feels like you're talking only to them. And I send out the text and just to guys who are still in town, a few running backs, receivers, and tight ends. And we just been running routes and going over the installs that we have during the week. So whatever OTA plays we install that week, we go out, run them on the field, and hit those routes and get down the timing. And I think it's really helped me and the guys a lot just to be around each other since we're not able to all be in the buildings this off season. So it's been fun to get out on the field, throw a little routes, and just work on our game and continue to go over this offense. So we're able to have an advantage and get on the same page going into training camp. So it's been fun. And obviously I wish we could do a lot more, but I think it's been good organizing these workouts and getting out on the field with those guys.
Well, right off the jump, Aldo, in terms of the text messages, Aldo doesn't reply in group or individual text messages. So Mitch is full of shit.
Fat Mike's taking notes from Mitch. He's like, oh, this is how you get.
This motherfucker will respond now.
It's so funny. We got to bring up Fat Mike. The other day I was at work. Phil goes, how many phone calls in are you with Fat Mike? I'm like, oh, 7 minutes ago. 7 minutes ago. He's like, Phil's like, yeah, it was 6 minutes ago. Greg's like, yeah, it was 4 minutes ago.
I love down the Rolodex.
Yeah, it's got the Rolodex.
This fucker didn't answer. I'm going to try the next one.
I did call him back, and he didn't answer. And then I got a text 2 hours later. I'm sorry, man. I was dealing with my dogs. He's a good dude.
Hey, props to Mitch. I would be pissed if he wasn't setting these up.
Yeah.
With these guys. And that's at the same time, it's hard to praise him for that because that you gotta listen, that should just be something that comes with the territory. It should be expected. And like I said, if you weren't going to do that, I'd have a real big issue with it. And they're doing it. They're out there working by everything that Allen Robinson and Tariq Cohen, Demetrius Harris praised Mitch for what he's doing on the field. And that's the things that you want to hear. But at the same time, all of this on the practice field, none of that really matters. What he says in a press conference, we can break all of that down. None of it really matters. All of this has to translate onto the training camp practices and if it's 4 preseason games, and then
that's why it does. That's why it does.
Season.
That's why it does matter. Some people, I'm not gonna, beat the drum on Twitter, but I did ask a few weeks ago when it came out that all these players were working out together, and we'd seen a few pictures on Instagram from some of the players' accounts. But I just asked, they said Mitch was out working out with tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs, and I said, why isn't Foles? And, of course, I had the same 5 people that love to engage the Trubisky-Foles argument every day on Twitter come right into the comments section, and they're like, oh, well, Foles has a family, and Foles doesn't live in Chicago, and the pandemic, and all these, it sounds like excuses to me. If I was saying those things about Trubisky, I know how they'd be titled. Right. But for Foles, it's okay because he knows the coaches and he's been in the offense. But for me as a Bears fan, if he's going to be my quarterback, I want him taking that initiative, finding players that live in his area and getting comfortable with the team he's never played with, because this is a make or break year for Matt Nagy and everyone on this coaching staff and a lot of the guys on the roster potentially. So if Nick Foles is behind, in knowing these guys, he needs to be out there. And as you referenced, there might only be 2 preseason games, so that adds to more of the incentive of why he should be getting comfortable with his guys. But I say, hey, Mitch, that's a little chip, but it puts him a little further ahead in this competition. If this is what this is, and Matt Nagy announced it's a quarterback competition, I am grading all those things. And we're going to talk about press conferences. I'm certainly going to put a little bit into the fact that he's going out and working with these guys, especially a rookie like Cole Kmet. I'm happy he's involved in these.
One of the things
100%.
that Mitch was asked about was what kind of a challenge is it going to be for him and for Foles, given that there's going to be a small sample size of reps because there have been no OTAs, and it may not be until guys report to training camp that the coaches are going to be seeing these guys throw against defenses. This was his response.
Yeah, I think because it's a small sample size, I think the advantage goes to me just because I've been the starter here the last 2 years. These are my guys, my teammates, and guys I've built super strong relationships over the last 2 years. But at the end of the day, it comes down to on-field performance. I think we both know that, the coaches know that, and our teammates know that. So when it comes down to getting on the field in training camp and competing against our defense, we just want to go out there and be a better offense. And I just got to make sure the offense is better when I'm on the field, doing my job to the best I possibly can, and make sure I'm giving the Chicago Bears a great chance to win heading into the season. So whatever the sample size is, the on-field performance in practices and preseason games, whatever capacity that is, I think will determine it. But I'm excited for the process, and I know it'll be a good, healthy competition with all the guys in our room, and we're just going to push each other and make our team better.
Yep, I like that. I like that he stepped out and said, I have the advantage.
So I thought Shane would have been proud of him there.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten to speak yet, dickhead.
I'll mute up then.
You got a quarterback that is doing something that you're expecting him to do. So if he is doing it and you're a hater, then to Greg's point, where I totally agree with you, Greg, he's doing it. He's meeting with these guys and he's doing what he's supposed to do as a leader. It's common laws of being a quarterback and somebody that wants to lead. You get together and you throw. Are they going over routes? I don't know. They're catching the ball. They're building camaraderie and cohesiveness. Those things, that's why quarterbacks and agents don't want their quarterbacks to throw at the combine. You don't know this guy. You don't know this guy. I don't want you doing. Well, where is it built? It's built through going out there, running routes, and fucking understanding their body language. Understanding how they break out of their route or their stem. Those things are great. And then when you come into the question here and you hear him say, I have the advantage. Well, now you've done something that all of you critics, including Cars, have said you wanted him to see. He's saying he put himself straightforward. Those who want to lead, please step forward. He's doing it. I respect that. I have the advantage. There's nowhere else to go now. You stepped out. You stepped out. And for me, it starts with baby steps. Those are the facts. Those are the truth. That's the reality of what I want to see. Maybe he doesn't have the personality that other players do. But if you're saying it there with conviction, which I think he is, Jay Cutler could give two fucks about the media. His attitude, everything like that. At the end of the day, did he love the game? Only Jay knows. Does he have regrets? Only Jay knows. So, Mitch, I'm speaking to you. You step out. You did that. You're throwing with your guys. You called out your coach. You called out your teammates. Use your voice now, Mitch, in that huddle. Be the Mitch Trubisky with 2 minutes to go in the game that loves the game of football and play the way I know you can play. Because I believe that if you get the non-worrying Mitch, you're going to get something to cook with. And that really goes back to the 100,000 plays in his fucking Denny's Diner playbook. Condense it down. It's not a shot. Brett Favre, Fat Mike's favorite quarterback, they had to condense the playbook down. And then as he grew, it got bigger for Mike Holmgren. But Holmgren had the understanding, I got to put my pride aside and do what's best because this kid's talented. And if anybody and their brother thinks that Nick Foles, the quarterback, is more talented than Mitch Trubisky, the quarterback, nope. I'm telling you, you're fooling yourself. Because that ain't the truth.
Let me ask you and Shane this question. Do you think that by virtue of the fact that Foles has worked with Nagy before, Laser before, and Flip before gives him an advantage that perhaps is overlooking here?
I
Absolutely.
do.
It's about comfort, but to that point, it's got to translate to the field. I mean,
exactly.
If it was that easy, you're just going to bring in your guys and it's gonna work out. Of course, that's end of the day. That's why they brought in Foles, because of the connection with all of those guys, and it spurns Mitch on. Now Mitch knows that wow, this is a Nagy guy, this is a Flip guy, this is a Laser guy that's here behind me, and it absolutely, it's a big part in it because at the end of the day, the decision makers are going to, if I'm saying that these guys are getting at the end of their rope, you don't think that they know it? They know that the pressure's on. They do. Exactly. And they're going to go with where the comfort is. It's best for this franchise if number 10 figures it out and goes out and plays well moving forward. And that's just what it is. But you cannot dismiss that, Aldo. It's a great point. And it's 100% a factor in this whole process because let's be honest, we can sit here and watch the games and see the product on the field. We never listen to go back to what Phil was talking about. Jordan Howard, he's an effective running back. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Jordan Howard's also on his third football team right now. Philadelphia's got a good offensive line. He fell out of favor in Philadelphia because in the same offense. Now he's in Miami. When you're talking about, you have to take every single factor into play. That's part of it, and it's a big deal, Phil. If you're the head football coach of any team at any level, if you have somebody that you're comfortable with and you believe in their talent. Just because there's a guy already here that was a high-round draft pick, you're going to play who you think is best, who's going to get you to where you need to go.
I've had parents come up to me. My son is so much better, but he doesn't know the plays. Mm-hmm. So, the kid is as talented as they come, but if we're running a fucking counter right, it's so easy, right? You should know your assignment, and he's running the wrong way, then he's hurting the team. So I don't give a fuck how talented he is. He's not out there. Now, to Shane's point with Nick Foles, here's the reality of Nagy. He got this guy to Olin's and all of our points that knows his system better than he does in Foles. He challenged Mitch at the combine, if you go back, to know he's got to know it better than I do. They already made up their mind at that point. They were getting Foles. They were getting another quarterback. Mitch says, I already knew they were going to do it. What do you think? He says it in this interview. I already knew that. So now you got a guy that knows, so your advantage. So what is Mitch's responsibility? It's my team. I'm not going to let the fact that he fucking knows it better than me or has more experience in it beat me. So I got to do what? I got to throw with my guys, and I got to know the playbook just as good as him. I'm going to fucking study it, and you hope that he's doing that. Because at the end of the day, the coach is going to play the guy that knows the playbook best, not the most talented. That's why I said anybody in America that's on a show or analyzing or blogging or whatever you do, and you say Foles, talent-wise, as a quarterback, is better than Trubisky because he threw great balls in the Super Bowl, you don't know what you're talking about. The talent, if we're in a gym class and you're a gym teacher and you see Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, it's easy. The athleticism is much better on Mitch Trubisky. Everything. Now, Nick has surprisingly good athletic. You saw on the Tape Never Lies I did with Foles. Sneaky athletic. Can scurry up in the pockets, not afraid to get hit in the face. Those things have merit to me. Now, if he knows the playbook and he's doing that, he could win the competition. So, it's not a bad situation if, as Aldo and I said that night, it's an honest competition. And it's going to come down to games. How are we going to set up this competition now? You're not going to have the Denver, Chicago inter-squad practice, those are more valuable to a coach than you can even imagine. You're not going to have that because of COVID. It's going to be the games. It's got to be the games. Every rep, yes. But the fucking shitty mistake that he made, not playing his starters, and we were all over it. Never changed. Now those are going to come into play. So first game, who are we playing? Opening preseason. Fucking Titans, whoever it is. You're going all out. This is about us. Let's go. You ready, Mitch? You ready? Because we are going, let's go. Everything is ready. And you're going to perform. You're going to perform. And that's going to set who's the fucking guy for your football team. If it's a free competition. If it's not, Shane, what do you think's going to happen? Seven plays, take Mitch out. 8 plays, take Foles out. Everything else is fucking Tyler Bray. Then fire this fucking bald-headed, visor-wearing fuck.
Phil, do you remember, and I was going to bring this up with Olin when he was on, and you're talking about, even to the Super Bowl, and if you go back to the Cedric Benson versus Thomas Jones when they were the 1-2, and this is something that's always bothered me in Chicago, and it's been around forever. You go back to the 05 and 06 seasons, they brought Cedric Benson in on the 3rd series. Every single game. Didn't start. It didn't matter what Thomas Jones was doing. You heard Thomas Jones himself say in the Super Bowl when he busted, keep me in, coach. I'm going to go for 200. Keep me in. No, this is said series. No matter what. And that's where it's so you're taking such a hardline stance where it can affect your entire it's not being able to see the forest through the trees. No, we got the hot hand. Nope, sorry, Sed's turn. It's Sed's turn. Put him in there. And it affects. And it's much like this quarterback battle or perceived quarterback battle. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out, because if these guys, if this is all just a horse and pony show, and they're saying all the right things publicly, and it's all and it's predetermined that this is going to be the Foles show, and we're just this is Mitch's last hurrah. Yeah, we will address it here. and rip it apart. Because if it's going to be a quarterback competition and you're not going to actually let that play out, then to your point, Phil, blow it all apart, blow it all up, because you're going to double down and say that, yes, we made a mistake not playing these. Imagine, like I said, Mitch saying that he's a reps guy, but imagine saying, well, Mitch, you need to get better at reading defenses. I'm going to take these reps off your plate. You remember the whole thing in Hallis Hall? Oh, you know what's going to help Mitch? We put in this big virtual reality system that other teams don't get. Remember that? How the fuck's that work? How'd that work out? Tony Medlin's putting the fucking coats for the coat drive in there because nobody's using it. It's not working, obviously. You remember that whole thing? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're the only team in the NFL that's got this. This is gonna take our guys to the next level. We'll put a fucking coaching VR room in there. Put a fucking offensive line VR room in there. If it's gonna, yeah. So it's enough with the bullshit. Let it go. Let it play out and see how it goes. And they better make it an honest competition, or none of it matters. None of it, because the players will see through this 100%. And a lot of Phil, you know how it goes too, is playing at Hofstra. You guys could tell who could play and who couldn't play.
You could tell right away.
On day one. And you knew if a coach had predetermined that, this guy's going to play because he's in year 3 and Atoshin is in year 1, but Atoshin could be better. That shit happens at every level, every single sport. And
you see it in life. You hear the whisper. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That separates locker rooms. The game's on the line. How much are you going to give if you're coasting or somebody's better and you're playing? It ruins cultures when you do that. That's why I've been so harping on it. You got to play the best. You gotta do it. You can't talk about it and then totally go against the grain. The whole locker room will go against you. And yes, the defense could give 2 fucks because they just want what's the best. But they'll know, too, who's the better quarterback. They'll know. God forbid you just put the guy because you drafted him high out there. It goes both ways. If Mitch doesn't win the job and we're going to start Mitch, you lost the whole team. Yep. That's a culture destroyer.
Everything that you preach means nothing.
Exactly.
If it's not going to be
Everybody will
honest.
know. Yep. Everybody will know.
This is Mitch talking about Nick Foles and their relationship.
Yeah, it's been great. Nick is a really good dude. It's been all positive, healthy relationship. And the first conversation we had, I think we both made it a point that it's important for us to be a part of a great quarterback room. That's what we want. So it's me, Nick, and Tyler included. And our job is to push each other, help each other get better, and make sure we're prepared to go out into the football field. And I think we're all going to bring that into the quarterback room. So, but there also comes the competition side of it. And I want to win this competition, and I want to be the guy out on the field leading this team. So there's also things you have to take care of when you're on your own. And that's what I'm doing, going about my business. But we're going to have a great relationship. And he seems like an awesome guy, just the interactions, and we're able to help each other as much as we can on Zoom meetings, having those conversations. So it's been going really well, and I'm excited about how it's going to go. But from all the conversations I've had with him, it's been positive.
How did Montana handle Steve Young coming to town? You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't judge this because the kid has to be.
He was pissed off, but in a good way, Phil.
Exactly. Montana didn't even talk to fucking Young at first. So, listen, everybody's different, but the competitor in me, you're coming for my job. We're going to be respectful, but I am going to fucking make sure every advantage goes to me. I want my guys that run the route right on the rep I'm about to run. No. Get that kid out. You don't put Miller in, put him on the side. He doesn't know this play. Right before I run it. That's how much involved I am in competition. I don't, you guys all talking about Jordan, how, great he was and competitive. That's how you got to be. Every professional should be that way. I would be in shock when I learned that some professional football players, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get, like, that doesn't, like, how do you weed that out? It goes all the way up to the top. Find the guys that love the game, get them on the roster, because their 40 time might be 4-7, but they love the game 24/7. That makes them better than the guy that runs the 4-5. So in this case, this is just answering the question and being politically correct for me. What is he going to say? Especially in this time. I mean, COVID, race relations, the country's on the brink, and you're talking about a quarterback competition. Did you see the video of them talking about Robert Quinn?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I've never seen the Chicago media be like crows at a fucking piece of meat. They were going after it, doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. Are you going to kneel? Are you going to kneel? And the guy's crying with emotion. So if they could do that to Robert Quinn on that, could
Again,
they do
Phil,
that?
what's the difference there? It's like a conference. They're not in front of them.
Exactly.
They're in their own element. Do you think that they would do? Do you think that they would pepper him
That's
with
a
those same
great-
questions if they're in the media room at Alice Hall? They would not, because they. Hey, I love JJ Stankovitz, and he readily admitted it right here. There's been a lot of times I wish I would have been a little bit more forceful. There's times I regretted my question because they're scared because of the politics and the bullshit that goes on at Hallis Hall. And I'm not trying to trash JJ. I'm just saying that's the environment. It's much like what we talked about. They're in a controlled setting. They're in their place, like the bullshit with Hub. I'm sure we'll touch on it. You know what I mean? That is the stuff that irritates me. If you can say it on a Zoom call, you should be able to say it face to face when the guy's at the podium and you're 10 feet away from him.
I mean, it's a great point.
Let's go to Mitch talking about how difficult it's going to be this offseason for him to gauge his progress because he's not going up against defenses as Greg continues to breathe heavily.
Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I was like. Fuck.
I breathe heavy. Addison took that trait from me. She breathes very heavy.
You are my son.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. I think we'll really see once we get in the training camp where we're at going against the defense. But for me, I've just been gauging improvement in how my body feels, how I'm throwing the ball on the field, and how my understanding of the offense is. So I just feel like everything that we installed over OTAs, I got it down packed. The way the ball is coming out my hand on the field and throwing with balance and great mechanics, it feels really good. And then just where I'm at mentally. So, but I guess none of that really matters until you get onto the field and you know you can perform and produce the way your team needs you to produce. But you just try to push yourself as much as you can, get better every single day, and hopefully those results will speak for themselves once we get to the season. But right now it is kind of tough to gauge.
You don't need the audio. I can just breathe.
There he is. There's Greg.
Did you guys go back and did you happen to see Jim Larison's comments?
You gotta pull up Larison's virtual
about the
reality.
About the VR. He put in there, I know the founders of the virtual reality company that the Bears brought in. The company is currently going out of business.
It was
The
so
problem
state
with
of
the
the
VR
art.
thing is that they should have added the element of electroshock. So
Yeah. Well, the problem is Nagy didn't want Mitch to get reps in there either because he didn't want him to get hurt. So Adam said, Tyler, you get in there. You take the reps. We don't want you to get hurt.
Well, tell them that we can do it off our video. We've just got some kinks.
But that
to
would
work
be,
through.
this goes back to the Chicago reporters. That's something that if I was a reporter and you see somebody bring it up, but I would double down on something like that. How is this VR that you guys invested all of this money into? You were putting it out there all the time about how much it was going to help your quarterbacks, and nobody else, man, maybe there's one or two other teams in the NFL that had access to that. But, ask them how. I would love to see their response to that. Like, is it a fucking closet now? Who knows?
Probably is.
I have not heard one thing about it since that was, brought up initially when it was like the new toy at Hallis Hall.
Do you think maybe that is why they cut the off-season short? I know they cut their virtual off-season like a week and a half short.
No, that was the.
Oh, no.
He's great. Somebody kick this kid in the nuts. Fucking swinging a miss over here, Greg.
What do you mean? Larison was saying that the virtual.
No.
Virtual thing is different than
the virtual
Zoom
reality
meetings.
that is in Hallis Hall, where
They have a literal
Mitch puts a thing
helmet
on his
on.
face.
He's got a
I thought you were
virtual
talking
football.
about their.
Aldo,
They
can you
hired
mute
someone.
him?
Oh my God.
There's an
Darth
opening for
Vader.
Chatterbaiter at 100.
I thought we were talking about the virtual. That's why his shit was all. That's why his video was all messed
They
up.
literally had a virtual reality simulator of
Well, you didn't
football.
say that. You just said virtual. I don't
We
know.
figured you were up to snuff.
I feel
Apparently
like Phil and I
Mandel
are
has
pulling
it.
Greg up the TIE fighter and we pull his mask off right
Listen,
before he.
There's a lot of
dies,
virtual
Vader.
stuff going on right now. It's a goddamn pandemic.
Captain Crunch rips the crap out of my mouth. I
How's
can't
Mitch
do
doing
it.
on the virtual reality Zoom meetings? Is it going to make him a better quarterback?
Listen.
Oh boy.
Unbelievable, Greg. That's an all-time classic.
Yep.
You're an all-time classic.
You are. I love you for that because I'll be thinking
I'm
about
working.
that
I'm
after
doing
the show.
stuff. I'm working. Then you bring up, I'm doing the chat. It's hard.
You're doing a great
I just
job.
got a text from Barbara.
You
Said,
bring up
Man, I'm fucking
Larison. That
embarrassed
pisses
right
me
now.
off.
VR is different than Zoom, and practice is over Zoom. That's all. Greg.
That's him. It's Aldo. It's not me.
Here's the amazing thing is that I mute Greg's microphone and he breathes so heavily you can still hear it.
I'd rather
Still
listen to that.
comes through.
Usually it's like a friggin' saw or something, or he's screaming at some underling at his job. Or
That's right.
You guys even realize this? The other guy's going too fast. The wall's gonna fall down. He's not prepared like I am. You remember that? Remember that call, Phil? Sending us pictures.
It's like, oh my God, the balance is off here. This guy wants to put it up.
He's got
This
a
is
counter.
expensive brick.
He's got to countersink his VR. This is gonna fuck everything up. He doesn't know what's going on. Oh
We
boy.
got somebody is looking for a job. Hire Jeff McLaughlin. He wants to be the
You see Berlissimo's comment? He goes, I find your lack in faith of Trubisky disturbing.
Yeah, we can make some videos with you on, what is that, Snapchat? I wonder if they have a Vader one. That would be great.
All right, I got another bite here that I want to play for you. This one is Adam Hogue, and then it was followed up by Mark Grody, two friends of the bar room. They asked Mitch about this whole thing about him being pissed off and how that was going to manifest itself. Hogue wanted to know, how is that going to manifest itself on the football field? And then Grody asked if he was pissed off when he learned that Nick Foles was acquired by the Chicago Bears. So here we go.
I hope it just motivates my teammates the way it has motivated me. I just feel like I feel like I'm in a good mental space right now. I'm very driven and motivated to do a lot more than I did last year, to push myself in ways I haven't pushed myself before. In the film room, knowledge of the offense, mechanics and footwork, and holding myself to a whole new level so I could play at a different level, so I could not make mistakes and play the way that I believe I'm capable of playing. And hopefully that rallies my teammates and pushes them to a different level as well, to raise their details, to go out there, practice harder, leave it all on the field. And I think hopefully it'll just make our offense and our whole team better. But I just feel like I'm in a good mental space right now. I'm very locked in on what I got to do. And I truly feel like I've gotten better every single day this off season. Working on my body, working on the film room, getting on the film, studying the playbook, and being on the same page with our coaches, Coach Nagy and Coach DiFilippo and Coach Laser included. It was It is what it is. It's good to be pissed off a little bit. It's good to have that motivation. I think everyone on our team should be, by the way we performed last year, going 8-8 and coming short of the playoffs. We need to get back to the playoffs, and we need to have a different mentality that we did last year, because we let a lot of details slip and we didn't play the way we're capable of playing. We lost games we should have won, and if you want to be a championship caliber team, that's not acceptable. So it's also one thing to talk about it. We got to go out and do it. We got to do it with our actions, and we got to back up the talk with our play and make it translate to the field.
Shane, what do you think about that? And here's a quick thought too: is being pissed off is great. It's fabulous. It's fantastic. Get fired up and so forth. But and I see this a lot in the chat comments. Is the guy smart enough to harness that the great talent that he has, the mental makeup of being a competitive, but is he smart enough to make it all work for him?
I think he's smart enough, like you said, Aldo. It's just coming back to the processing portion of it. I mean, you can be somebody on the field that knows the playbook inside and out and knows everybody's routes and where they're supposed to be and everything. It's if you can process it, and that's where I don't know. I'm not sure if Mitch is going to be there. Is he going to figure that? Is the light going to go off in year 4? If you can have an offensive line in front of you, if you still can't process what's going on in the defense and read the defense, not saying that Mitch doesn't have an ability to do that sometimes or to a certain extent, he does. But can he be consistent and do that game in and game out and make plays? And I am not there with Mitch. I'm not confident that he's going to ever be consistent enough in that he's going to be the guy that you move forward with. And all the talent in the world, like I've said, he does. He's got everything you want in a quarterback. Is he ever going to figure it out enough mentally to be the franchise quarterback for this team? I'm not ready to make that decision. My confidence level is not to a level where I want it to be with him to make that determination right now. That's what makes this 2020 season so fascinating, because it's really gonna answer a lot of questions. Hopefully everybody in front of Mitch stays healthy. Hopefully the running backs, hopefully Mitch stays healthy so he can go out and this is his last stand where he either shits or gets off the pot. And he answers all of those questions, because at the end of the day, that's all you ever want. You want, everything at your disposal. You want to have a full arsenal. And I just can't sit here and say that I'm 100% confident that Mitch is going to figure all that out mentally for himself to be the quarterback that he can be.
What was the question, Aldo? Because I was in the can, so I came back. I missed the question in regards
see that? Dropping
to
the ball.
He must have went to
and
the
now
can.
Aldo's gone.
So what was the question?
So what do you
Shane?
do?
I'm asking the question.
You got to step
I gotta
up in
get
the
the
pot.
play.
You gotta
I gotta get the
scramble.
play.
You got to make a play.
Here's the thing I'll say, and I don't even know the question. You can never say never when it comes to a professional athlete.
Well, I guess
People
the way that
can't say
the way that
never.
I answered it, Phil, are you completely sold?
Is
that
he
Mitch,
smart enough was the question.
Is he
Phil.
smart?
Thanks, Greg, for finally just answering.
It just dawned on me. It takes a second.
But the smart, I think he's definitely smart enough. I think the kid is smart enough. Do you think he's where he's going to be, where he needs to be mentally, where that's no longer going to be an issue for him?
It's not about the smarts. It's what Olin said. It's about the fast reacting. Anybody can walk up to a chalkboard. This is what I was talking about on Twitter with Patrick Sheldon. He's bringing up the Deshaun Watson video where he explains how he saw coverages in a game and missed a play and then hit a play later, and he acted like that was something that Mitch can't do, as if he's done that in games. I can literally point to instances where they missed a play, read the coverage, and later in the game, same coverage, they hit the play.
Yes.
But anybody can do that on a chalkboard or a video. Mitch says he's going back and looking at every play and seeing what he missed. And anybody can do that. It's about, like what Olin said on 100 Proof last week, it's about reacting in that split second. He's smart enough. Can he develop to have a quicker trigger, and not get, and to me that lies with confidence, because I saw a faster trigger when he's more confident. When he doesn't trust what's going on around him or trust in himself, he's not as confident. He doesn't make the decisions as decisive.
Well, I think it boils back. I think he's smart enough. I really do.
Yeah, me too. I don't think that's ever been a question.
I honestly think it's so unfair because there's so many moving parts to this offense it's belaboring to maybe the person that's impatient, but the Mahomes and the Watsons of the world make this situation harder when you have a Phil Simms, a Terry Bradshaw, Drew Brees, all these other stories of quarterbacks that took years to get to the point where they now got it. Right now in this game, in this time, there's no patience for that. And when you have a defense that's championship caliber, now there's no patience for that. So when I speak my truth and say, listen, you don't have to listen to me, you don't have to believe in me, but I'll never change. And Shane could say it, whatever. I know the coach is the number one problem.
Have I ever had a problem on this fucking show from saying what I feel? Fucking bare truth.
What?
Holy fuck.
Oh, you're having a conversation with
Yes, fucking annoying as shit.
They were talking to
like
me.
The new Chubbs.
Focus on me.
I like it. My representation is out doing his dirty deeds.
In their little fucking olive tree.
Oh, you talking about Chubbs? I thought you were.
No,
are you talking about
I
me?
like Chubbs.
Talk about you.
What?
I don't know what's going on here.
Say what you feel, Shane. Like, I'm not saying what I fucking feel. Because listen, you can be clouded, Bears Truth, by your fucking fanboy. Because you're a fanboy.
Hey! That's my guy.
I don't give a shit who he is. I'm just saying.
Who is Bear Truth?
We don't even know who he is.
Does he have a first name?
I think he's Greg's burner account. He can't put it.
He can be anybody. He can be anybody.
But
maybe he's got a pool, so that's why Greg likes him. He's got a pool.
Anybody got a good pool? Let me know. Greg will be over.
But back to the thing that I was saying. It starts with Nagy and the expectation of it. Mitch could know the whole offense if Miller and Cohen and whatever, Taylor Gabriel, whoever you're putting in this, Ted Ginn now, they don't know their routes, then it's going to make the quarterback look bad. You brought, I didn't even know we were going to show tape today. Right, Aldo? I had no clue. So you bring that tape up, and then you see a mistake by Mitch. Then you see another play where there's a mistake by Leno. There's a missed assignment. So all of that goes back to coaching. This is the highest of highest levels. There shouldn't be any confusion. So when it is as bad as it was watching this tape, because you know the tape doesn't lie, it needed to be said. It needed to be said, and I stick my neck out there and put my name to it. I'm not doing 2 hours of tape study for nobody. I'm doing 26 minutes of showing you the truth on tape. And that's why you're all in there. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to Shane and everybody, because we just speak the truth of it. So I can't say Mitch will never get it, because I don't agree with that. I think he has it. He's got to get in that zone where all these missed assignments aren't going to threaten him. Because that's what really makes Drew Brees who he is. But it took Drew Brees 4 years to get there. Where's Mitch? Year 4. Fire under his ass because Nick Foles is here. Who did Breeze have? Phillip Rivers was drafted. Different situation, different players. But the reality is, this is the NFL. It's the hardest position in all of sports to play. So the coach has to get on the same page as the quarterback. I even don't like the fact that the coach says he's got to know it better than me. You've already said that to Mitch. You said that now because you are pulling, in my opinion, for Nick Foles. If that's the case, you're a blundering fool. There should be no pulling. In fact, if anything, probably the GM is pulling for the fucking first round pick that he had to be successful. But right now, the competition should be, I'm pulling for nobody. Go out there, show, and prove it. And I think that Mitch has the mental makeup to do it. I get the processing stuff, but I also understand being in a situation where everything's falling apart around you and you're the one taking all the blame for everything falling apart when it really, I've shown you the evidence on tape that, wait a second, you have Olin on shitty tight ends, shitty tackles, injuries along the offensive line, receivers run the wrong routes. Then you had gimmickry in the red zone and in situational football. Let's go back to games where games are won and lost by 4 or 5 plays. Let's go back. 3rd and 1. You trot out fucking your receiver to play running back and run dive with him. That's a coaching issue. That ain't a Mitch issue. That's a critical moment in the game. Run fucking load option. Just run quarterback sweep. Get the first down and move the chain. You got to think outside the box here. There's not one remedy here. The biggest fucking remedy is the coach. We get him right. He holds everyone accountable. He said the right things. We've praised him on this show. Now he's got to go do it, just like the quarterback. That's why I asked Olin. I go, as a veteran, as a player, as an alumni of this team, are you comfortable with a head coach learning on the job? No, he wasn't. Because this is the highest of highest levels. I'm okay with a high school coach learning to be the head coach. Even sometimes a college coach. But an NFL coach, I don't think you hear that anywhere else on any network ever. I don't. And I'm proud of that to be spoken here. And I even disagreed with my dad. Because my dad was really technically talking about the fact that he was learning on the job. But at this level, to learn on the job, it's not okay. You don't put a politician in office that's coming out of college. Do you?
Let's not talk politics.
Maybe they do. You don't put a, what do you call it? What do you call that? Reality television superstar in the office. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I don't want to get anybody.
27 people have left the chat.
Exactly.
But that's the reality.
Republicans buy Nikes too.
Let's laugh a little bit, guys. Come on.
All 27 were from Indiana. No, just kidding. All right. Hey, guys, you've brought up Hub Arkish in the question, and I recall Hub asking a question, but I don't remember exactly the reference that you guys are making. It was because
yeah, he was talking about being a leader and having a good rapport with the guys, and he goes, "Well, good for you."
Yeah,
and
he
then
was given kudos to Mitch in the question.
Right.
Yeah. And then Mitch immediately you see his face kind of scrunch up, and then he just starts laughing. Yeah, me too. I was glad that he clapped back at him a little bit because that's what Hub needs.
And then Hub walked it back a little bit, saying,
Hub started scrambling a little bit and said, "No, I was actually praising you, even though I said it as a smarmy little bitch."
Oh, come on!
That's Greg's boy, Hub.
That's Shy Fan in the stands guess, Shane. Bears
That's
Bar
fine.
Radio Network.
Can we just
No,
get
we
him?
keep it 100 here, you know.
Hub, we keep it 100. You did backpedal like a young Donnell Wolford on 3rd and 17.
There's something really important that I must share with you, and let me see if I can call it up here.
Oh boy!
It just came in over the wire.
Fresh off the presses.
Yes, exactly.
As we wait. Oh, here we. Oh, there he is.
You have failed me for the last time.
That is awesome.
Oh,
We're getting graphics.
That was fucking wild.
Greg's all tripping. Did that happen? Wait, did that happen?
That's like the dopest app. That's from like one of the oldest apps I have on my iPhone. It's like 5 or 6 years old.
Wait, you did that?
Yeah.
Look at you. That's incredible. Graphics.
You have failed me for the last time. Who is that? Is that Nagy talking to Mitch, or was that Vader talking to Greg?
Oh my God.
Speak your truth, Shade. Speak your truth. Fence Rider.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was great.
That was great. That was great. This is
I'm
what you get.
apologize ahead of time to Shane for not including special effects by Shane Marzal.
Yeah, that's right.
But I will make sure.
Have Tooch throw it up.
There you go. All right, guys. I think we're closing in on the end of the show. Let's kind of go around the table here and talk about your final thoughts about Mitchell Trubisky, where he's at now, how he sounded after this press conference, and really, what are your expectations? Where's the level of confidence that you have in Mitch going into the 2020 season? Let's. I'm thinking in terms of highlight video sound bites you can give us. Okay, so Shane, the pressure is on you.
Well, my confidence in Mitch isn't where I want it to be, isn't where I expected it to be in year 4. Like I said, I'm more so worried. The talent is easy to see. I can see why he was drafted, where he was drafted even, because I think that ceiling is so high for Mitch. It always comes back to mentally. Is he going to be able to get through that? And I know that's the one thing about the NFL. There's so many determining factors. Nagy's going to play a big part. The organization as a whole is going to play a big part. And, you know, much like with Jay Cutler, he had all of his warts, but the Bears organization also didn't do him any favors along the way. Mitch has had more at his disposal than Jay ever had. You know, the Bears invested in the offensive line. I just hope at the end of the day that this all comes down to that what we spoke on, that this is truly an open competition. Nothing is predetermined, and that Mitch is obviously sounds like he's ready to go to get out there and to make his name in the NFL. I liked hearing him say, hey, I don't think that I deserved that 5th year being picked up. That to me was the most important part that came across. He should be pissed off about that, but he was also accepting of it. He said, if I looked at it from their vantage point, I wouldn't have given it to myself either. I think that that's important. That's going to be another thing that he can look at and strive for. That's going when your career is on the line as a potential franchise quarterback. It can make everything smaller around you and bring in your focus. Listen, the health, he should be completely healthy. The shoulder shouldn't be an issue. He's had a lot of time to decompress and be at home and try to figure things out. And a lot of times that can help you. It can also hinder you, because if you're an overthinker, maybe you're overthinking even more because you have a lot of time at home. But Mitch has all the talent that I want in a quarterback, and me as a fan, I want him to go out there and be the guy to live up to that number 2 overall billing, because he's what is he, 25, going to be 26 years old. He's a guy that can be here for the next 8-10 years if he goes out there and proves it. it's just, I don't, this is where I am a fence rider because my confidence isn't 100% that he's going to figure that out. There's so many outside influences, and at the end of the day, it's going to come back down to Mitch. To me, if I had to put all my money in the middle of the table, I would say that there's probably going to be a different quarterback in 2021 in Chicago that's not going to be Foles or Mitch. If I was to bet right now, I want to see how this develops in preseason, and I hope Mitch grabs it by the balls and goes in there and kicks ass. I really do, because he's got the talent. Mentally, I just don't think he's ever going to see it.
This offensive line can't block a lick.
Exactly, Greg. That was not Greg's entire comment. He's coming up next. I've got a short comment, then Greg, and then we'll finish up with Phil's thoughts on Trubisky, and then move to shout-outs. But here's my my hope is that Trubisky transforms himself in 2020 to that quarterback. All of us know the great quarterbacks, and that one thing that they have that makes them great is that they take an offense and makes it their own. They will fight with the coach. They will say, I want to run this play. They'll change a play at the line of scrimmage. We saw it. I saw it firsthand with Jim McMahon. He would give the middle finger to Mike Ditka, and whatever play call came in, he would change plays at the line, and he made big play after big play. That's the best quarterback I've seen in Chicago since I've been following them, and we've seen it with all the other great quarterbacks. Peyton Manning basically wrote the playbook for the Colts. We've seen it with Tom Brady. Tom Brady made sure that offense suited his strengths. And so Trubisky has to step forward and make this offense really his own, and sometimes go against his head coach and pound his hand on the table. We saw a little bit of that last season when he made some comments after games and so forth, and he wasn't quite happy about this play call or that or whatever. And so now in 2020, he needs to take that next step forward and make sure that he is doing the job of a great quarterback, which means putting his imprint on this offense. And he needs to do it now. He needs to do it now because time is running out. And he's right. He does have an advantage over Foles because he has been here for years. And now we're learning that he's been playing catch with Allen Robinson and some of the other players. So he needs to take all these advantages and make this team truly his own. Greg Braggs, are you ready for us?
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, when it comes to what we heard from Mitch the other day, I'm happy that he stood out a little bit and probably said a little more than he normally says in saying that this is my team still. I am still the leader. These are my guys, and I have a competitive edge over Foles. To me, those are comments that kind of go away from the kind of guy Mitch is as a teammate and steps a little further out like, hey, this is my turn to take a step. And I want to see that from Mitch here at camp. I want to see him take that step up and take this challenge on head on and beat Foles. And I hope it's a fair competition, obviously. In my opinion, I think this sets up for Mitch to still be the starter week one. I think Foles is a perfect guy that you know who he is. If need be, he can come in if Mitch doesn't have his shit together. So I think we're going to have a real interesting, I think there's going to be a lot of Bears fans that are pissed off if Mitch ends up winning this job at first, and then every game's going to be a, ultimatum on his career. So that's a lot of pressure to live under, but that's what Chicago's all about. And if he can come out of that, as Phil and Shane alluded to earlier, he will be a god in this town. So I'm really excited to see how this plays out. It could potentially be, a win-win or even a win-win-win scenario if either one of these quarterbacks work out, or if not, as I've said before in the past, we can just completely wipe the slate clean if it really gets that bad. But I truly don't envision it going that way. I think one way or another, we're going to have our answer. I'm obviously a guy in the Mitch circle, and I'm going to stay there, 10 toes down. As my guy Tariq Cohen's likes to say, 10 toes, man. I got my 10 toes on Mitch, And I know he's working hard, and I hope when we get to camp, he can show everybody that last year wasn't who he is and who this offense is. So, we'll see how it all plays out. I'm not going to argue with people every day about this on Twitter. At the end of the day, Mitch has to do it on the field. But, we're going to find out. This is what makes sports great, competition.
You look at quarterback in a different lens. It's commonplace. It's poetic. It's, constant debating. It's constant rhetoric. People throw stats. But I look at Mitch Trubisky and I believe in the talent. Now, if your head coach has set the stage in you knowing by putting you on Front Street, know this offense better than I do. Because I brought in a guy that already does know it better than I do. Greg, mouth breathing, mute your mic.
No, I'm not.
The reality must be the bottom line. Your career is in front of you. And if you don't take the bull by the horns and take control of your career now by doing what Aldo said, by being the man on the job, the man that wants what he knows he could do best to be in the game day playbook. Because let's face it, we all joke about the amount of plays. We all joke about the amount of mistakes, but we don't see a guy that's pissed off. So for me, I'm going to sit back and watch a competition, hopefully from that vein, between two players that love the game of football. Because I go back to Jerry Seinfeld talking to Howard Stern, and I think to myself, on the highest of highest levels of the game, in the Charter franchise, and I'm not drumming it up for the fans. I'm saying this for myself. I don't claim to be the smartest, most passionate, whatever. But I do claim that I love the Chicago Bears. So that love never evaporates. So for Mitch, he's got to tap into that love for the game. Because all the stressors and all the narrators, all the TVs, all of the waters, all of the minutia, you have to face your own reflection. Do you love this game? Because if you do, you are going to be ready to rock and roll on everybody. The offensive line, you're going to coach them up right on the field. The receivers, you're going to coach them up right on the field. And if he comes out and truly embraces the passion to push back like he did Hub, the passion to get these guys together and work hard as men fighting together with all races, all nationalities coming together as a team, and he embraces that role, then he's going to win. Because I truly believe he is the more talented football player. Without a shadow of a doubt. He is. How he fits, how he fights, how his love boils over at the end of the day is going to be the story in Chicago on Mitch Trubisky.
Very well said, Mr. Draft Dr. Phil Atoshin. And Shane had to step away here, but so I'm going to delay a little bit here because he sent me something here that he should be on camera for. Probably.
If it's anything about me,
it's got to be.
Better
what?
Better not be. I have a feeling it's about someone else. Maybe Bear Truth 9. How come he doesn't get it? It's always
maybe it's about me, Greg. I'm speaking from the heart there, Aldo, in regards to Trubisky. Oh, he's back.
He's back. All right.
I'm back.
Let's see what you got here, Shane Marsaw. Let me get rid of this first. Let me open that up. This up. Here it is.
Oh, jeez. What do we? There it is.
I forgot all about this app.
Oh my
I could have some
God.
fun with it.
Shane,
This is going to be the new fun on this show. I don't know why I deserved it. Should have brought Berlissimo on and just dropped that on him.
Because
the way
of-
Shane
he
and
did
him
that.
are battling.
He did that because of your promo where you left out
Yeah.
everyone.
First of all, I didn't leave out anybody. Shane, the question's answered.
Let's hear the backpedaling, Shane. Go ahead. Shane.
There's no backpedaling.
Not
It was
you. I'm talking about Phil.
There's no backpedal. I put on the best 7 minutes to capture what Olin was saying.
He just happened to be in 7
about
minutes and 15 seconds of it.
Nagy. No, there's 2 questions that you ask that he answers in there that don't need you to clarify it. With mine, they needed some so you had to see my voice to get to what he's answering.
And
Greg
you
jumping
fucking-
in the middle of our show when we're
How about-
flowing, he
how
needs
about-
to be reprimanded.
How about you cutting off Olin? You know, I get made fun of for cutting off.
I didn't
Olin.
cut him off.
Yeah, you
I did too. I did one time. I
No,
know.
Yes, you
we
did.
cut him off to say, and that was 4th down where Montgomery. They stayed with the run all 4 downs in the red zone, which was important, Greg. Not only to the listener, because somebody like Mykonos is going to know that they went 4 times they ran, which is completely out of the Nagy mindset that we've seen. He's never done that. But they won that game, right, Greg? By running the ball.
You see how he does everybody
I am
see
smart.
how
I
he
am a
just
smart
spun everyone into this tornado of whatever the fuck he just said, and totally got off of why Shane made the graphic. That was what it was about, and then it turned to Phil just goes into this blizzard of bullshit.
My boy Kostos from Greece popped up. And
Mykonos.
he's my boy, man.
All right.
Oh, look at that.
I thought I was just getting muted.
Did he just end the show? That's what I thought at first. I looked up.
Yeah, almost. We're going to do some quick shout-outs, go around the horn here, and then, of course, Greg Olin shares what's going on in the chat room, some of the highlights. So, Shane, why don't you begin with a shout-out or two?
Shouting out everybody in the chat. Thanks for waking up, on a Sunday. A lot of people got to head back to the grind, the real life tomorrow morning. So I know I cherish my days off and especially my mornings. So just shout out to everybody for showing up early, participating in the chat. And we're coming down the home stretch here where it's real important. Things are getting back to normal like I started off the show with. And hopefully that means that everything is safe enough that NFL football can be normal and give us a little bit of a bright light, in these dark days that we've been dealing with. I'm really looking forward to getting back to a little bit of normalcy with that and just with you guys and having a training camp practice to break down and to talk about, or a preseason game, and then moving on into the regular season. Really looking forward to that. But stick with us here at Bears Bar Room. And it's going to be fun, guys. This off season has been extra long this year, and we're almost out of it. Hopefully we can get there.
Greg, the platform is yours.
All right. Yeah. Again, I also want to shout out everybody in the chat as your chatterbaiter. I appreciate all the good interaction and all the kind words and civility. There were some comments I'm not going to bring to light. I almost started going off on one particular person, but I'm not sure who that comment was directed at. But I'll just say this. You better watch with the divisive talk in my fucking chat. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah.
So, going on to the comments of the
You're going to have
day.
to fill me in after that. I guess I missed it.
Going on the comments of the day, the first comment, I'm not even gonna. I don't even want to bring it to light because it'll bring in a whole different topic. And maybe I should, but I'll just leave it alone.
Save it.
So
for
going
the next
into
show.
the comments, the first comment of the day goes to Jeremy Forer. When we started our new chat, he put hello with a question mark. So he got first comment of the chat because we had to start a new session because we kind of been working through some technical difficulties. So we appreciate everyone's patience while we get through that. GSH Jeff, my good buddy, big Purdue fan, said, if we can't hear Greg at all this day today, that's fine. So I appreciate that, Jeff. That was nice. Viggy Valenti said, I got wasted last night, woke up early, got the notification for the show and said, fuck it, time to wake up. We appreciate you, Viggy, sticking with us. I know for some of the heavy drinkers on a Saturday night, it's not easy waking up Saturday morning for a special 100 Proof show. Berlissimo said, do you love me more than Mitch, Greg? Well, I've only slept with one of you in bed, and it wasn't Mitch. So I think you win that round. Chris Gonzalez said, Barflies or Barry Greg's favorite frame jersey is his Barry Sanders jersey. So I don't have that frame. So fuck you, Chris. Marquise Ellison said, wake and bake with the bar room. So I like that, Marquise Ellison, getting down with baking. I don't know, he might be baking some cookies. You never know what he's doing. Evan Wells said, what if Greg lives in Mitch's basement? I just might, and you never know. I'd be happy to. I'd be down in the bunker. We have been all off season. Berlissimo once again said, kind of disappointed Aldo didn't sound like Joe Pesci today. So that was that was pretty good. We did miss Pesci Aldo today. So GSH Jeff making another appearance said, Greg needs to do something with that face bush. So yeah, I don't know. I did mention it on 100 Proof last time. We mentioned a little bit on the show, but I was thinking about shaving it all off, all the hair, all the beard and the hair for charity. I have a Versus Cancer Charity Foundation that I try to help support my good buddy Dave Mays. We had him on Shy Fans last year, and we did a fun giveaway with an Eddie Jackson jersey. I'm thinking about maybe doing the same thing where we give away a jersey. Maybe, I can't really, I was going to offer maybe tickets to a game, but I don't even know if we're going to be able to go to games. So maybe we'll stick to some autographed memorabilia, and if people want to donate, and, I'll also throw in the caveat that I'll shave off all my hair and beard in support with, the cancer research for the Versus Cancer Charity. One thing, not to be real long on this, but, Versus Cancer Charity is about, or foundation is about supporting kids with cancer. The overall cancer foundation, there's a lot of different cancer foundations that you can support, but only 4% of cancer research, goes towards kids with cancer. And, you would think it'd be much higher being that they're kids, but it's just a lot of different people that have problems. So it's hard to spread all the money around. So the Versus Cancer Foundation is a very important cause. So I'm going to try to maybe do something right by them. Maybe we'll shave it all off. Jason C said, Shane sounds like Louis C.K. I thought that was an interesting observation. I know Louis C.K.'s had some, transgressions here in the not too distant, but slightly. You do kind of sound like Louis C.K. I'm not saying you do, some of the acts he does in private, but you do kind of sound like him. So Evan Wells said, at the end of the day, we all hope Mitch balls out and shuts us up. That would be great. Jim Larison, my good buddy, said, good morning, Barroom. My favorite topic of the morning, Mitch. I don't know. He might have been being facetious there. I don't think he likes talking about Mitch. Chubbs82 said, Greg is right. And there's nothing bad. I was seeing that a lot in the chat. I don't know if they're feeling like they're loyal to me because they're, I'm their chatterbait or what, but I always love seeing that. So more of the Greg is right stuff in the chat. Then Aldo has to put it up on the board. Facebook user said, bro, I could watch Phil break down tape all day. So I don't know why it said Facebook user on the chat line, but somebody had some really kind words for Phil. Really cool stuff halfway through the show, where he was breaking down live tape, and kind of getting us all, a better understanding of how football works. I know for me, it definitely helps me see the bigger picture on specific plays. I think people like me, an average fan, just watches, the ball. They don't see all the little mechanisms that go into a successful play. So GSH Jeff suggested Greg needs to do Yeah, no problem, Phil. See, I give you credit sometimes. GSH Jeff said Greg needs to do a tape always lies session. I like that idea. I think I will. Bear Truth 9, my representation, said that low carb diet coming out of Greg today. Yeah, a little fired up in the morning. I get a little more energy. I'm not, laying block in the heat all day, so I got a little more energy for you. And when we're talking about my love child, Mitch, I get very defensive like a mother, they say like when mothers get that strength to be able to like lift a car if their kid was, that's kind of what I get when I'm talking about Mitch. Pusha T said, I didn't like the 202 offense last year. Well, no shit, Pusha T. It didn't go great. Barlissimo said, no, Fat Mike isn't taking notes from Mitch with the Zoom calls. He's always taking his notes from Brett Favre. I forgot. Carl Zotter said something that I cannot read. Awake. I'm sorry. Greg. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Carl Zotter said, awake brags is much more fun. Thank you. I appreciate that. Gaines said, these are my guys. Our guy Freedom Gaines in the chat, but Gaines known on the Barfly Tailgate Show. You're our guy too, Gaines. I do want to shout you out, when we were talking about all our issues, going on in this country when it comes to Black Lives Matter and things of that nature. I would definitely want to be the first to say, at least for me, we didn't even bring up some of the guys. There's so many things we're trying to talk about. And we didn't even bring up some of the black guys that are on our network, like Gaines and, all these guys. I'm just trying to... Ryan KB. I was, and that's what I mean. When we're going through a show, sometimes there's so much going on. It's hard to get all your thoughts together. And I do want to say that I apologize to those guys. I'm always trying to keep everybody in consideration. But, truthfully, it's just a lot going on. And I definitely want to apologize. Gaines is a great guy. He's somebody I've hung out with at a couple Bears games and if you think I'm a positive guy, you should meet Gaines. This dude just exudes positivity and truly is an inspiration to people that, like me, that want, people to carry that mindset on a day-to-day basis. It takes more energy to be negative than it does to be positive. So shout out to Gaines. I do. You say we're your guys. You're my guy, Gaines. So I definitely wanted to end there. And Ron Rupp now said, my wife is getting pissed. Gotta go. Great show, guys. So sorry to your wife. We're just trying to have fun here, but we always appreciate your support, Ron. And if she keeps giving you shit, maybe you'll have to leave her. I don't know. Jason C said, it's a dog and pony. It's dog. I don't know what happened here, Shane, but apparently you got the dog and pony reference wrong. And he said, you should know that like the back of your hand, Shane.
That was my entire point.
Oh, I see.
The little analogies that are just a little bit wrong.
Okay. Anthony Walker said, Luke, I am your father, in reference to my heavy breathing. I think that's interesting, Anthony Walker. I thought it was Anakin Skywalker that was the father, not you. Alex Acevedo said, it's a pandemic. Let's have some fun. That's what we're fucking doing here at 100 Proof. We just did a 3-hour show talking about Mitch Trubisky. So, we just wait till we get to the preseason and the regular season, and we got actual tangible football to talk about, like Shane was just saying. We're going to be having some fun this year, especially with video. Tape never lies. And, of course, last call, coming back when these games come back. That's something I can't wait, personally, for the return of. Jeremy Forer said that Shane edit brought to you by the Bears at the VR department. So that was pretty funny. Windy City Shy said, bottom line, it's time for Mitch to put on his big boy pants and show it. Don't talk about it. And that's the final comment of the day, and I think that's a great one to leave it at that. There's a lot of talk with Mitch Trubisky. Sometimes on Twitter it can be nauseating how much people want to go the tennis match conversations that go on every single day. At the end of the day, we're all just talking heads. It's all got to be done on the field, and sometimes these things work themselves out in ways that we're not even talking about. So, let's let it play out. Let the chips fall where they may, and then we can start really analyzing this. The hypotheticals are fun to get into, but at the end of the day, it's about the players.
Exactly.
That's the Larison bomb.
Oh, he's gonna love that. Should have been a taco, a giant taco.
That would be great. That would be great.
That was awesome. All right, I will go next, and then Phil can close the show with his shout-outs. I want to thank Greg for bringing that up about the fact that we have been talking about the racial issues going on in our country and not having our African-American co-hosts and producers on. It was neglectful on our part. We probably should have done that, but rest assured that this is a topic that's not going to go away. This is a moment in U.S. history that is a tipping point, and people are becoming much more aware of the history of Black people in our country. And now people are starting to admit, hey, maybe I got stuff wrong. And so we're going to be hearing from our African-American co-hosts and producers here on the network, and we'll be hearing from some of our listeners too. This is something 100 Proof is about football, but this is a topic that is going to be ongoing simply because it affects the Chicago Bears, but more importantly, it affects us all. This is huge. And just like we've talked about COVID-19, we have to talk about this issue because this is an issue that is of the utmost importance for us. In terms of shout outs, I just want to shout out you guys for getting up early and coming prepared and bringing it. The debate today was outstanding. Just Berlissimo was among the people in the chat room who was just loving the back and forth going on between the three of you guys. And the subject of Mitchell Trubisky is so important for this football town. We really, really need this guy to succeed, because the investment on him, the second overall pick of that draft, is just so high. And we all know the talents that this guy has. So let's all, you guys talking about it with such great knowledge and passion is great. And a special shout out to Draft Dr. Phil, who put the open together from the Olin Kreutz show. And then without any preparation at all, I start throwing highlights at him, and he hits it out of the park with his instant analysis. And that's something that you'll be able to see when the last call comes back on game days after the game. We are 44 days away from the opening of training camp, people. And while we're not scheduled to be here on Wednesday night, we've got some other business to take care of. We will have lots of programming for you. In fact, I'm going to try to prepare something special for you to be released on Wednesday night in place of our regular live 100 Proof show. But don't fear. After next Wednesday, we'll be back every Wednesday with live shows and an occasional special show throughout the week or on a weekend morning like today. Mr. Draft Dr. Phil, the stage is yours.
I love you guys. I want to shout out you guys first and foremost. I had the crazy idea, let's do it Sunday or whatever. And we come together on a Sunday morning and break bread talking my religion, and that's football and the Chicago Bears, walking step for step. The integrity that we have on the show, shout outs are important to me because you, the fans, are the community that built this. But it really starts with my wife supporting what it is I believe in and do. We have 4 kids, so it's very tough, difficult, to carve out time to do those highlight clips and everything like that I do. And break down the tape and do this. So shout out to her for supporting and being such a great mom. I mean, that's really something. I want to shout out Rel Remy, wish him a happy birthday. He's a truther. There's certain people that really set themselves apart to me personally that just carry themselves with the integrity. And Rel is one of those guys. I don't know if he's still in the chat. I want to thank everybody in the chat for being a part of the show, because that's really how we treat it. We speak it, and sometimes I don't see everything. So I just want to thank them. I don't know if that's heavy breathing from Shane or from Greg, but I want to play this little audio clip for my next guy that I wanted to shout out.
Hi, Phil. What's up? I just listened to like 50 minutes of last day's podcast, and I have to tell you, if I did appreciate you before I hear you speak these words, now, my appreciation of you is on a whole different level.
And that's our guy Kostos, who's in the chat, Aldo, for the first time, gets to hear his own voice. And he was talking about our show dealing with the racial issues that we have openly on 100 Proof talked about. And I really, the support that we have and my brothers have for standing up for the truth is important, and it'll always be important. And if you don't like that, there's another show for you, because I'm speaking to everybody that follows the network. I don't care about likes. I care about truth, and the truth is in the pudding of what we have on this show. In that sense, Mykonos, Kostos from Greece, thank you so much, because your words as they went on and on meant so much to me personally as well as professionally. Heidi, Cherie, Zach Bradley, Jeremy Foyer, Mitchell, my boy Mitchell, Windy City Shy, Jimmy Larison, Alex Swagman Acevedo, Ron Ruppnow, Jamari Riddick, Chris Gonzalez, my boy the Gaines Report. What a really great person, great human being. I can't say enough positive. Greg, you really knocked it out there. Ryan Olson, Michael Pope, Zach Sullivan is just a great person. Isaiah Robles, another great person. Joe Moscone from Jersey wrote me, Aldo, and Shane some amazing words about our show dealing with racial issues that are truthfully fucking happening. They're happening. We're going to talk about it. If it makes you uncomfortable, good. That's how you learn in the pocket. My man Dove Williams, he's on there right now. Jay Jablonski, my boy, was live here today. Brett Selmas from Australia. Miguel Rodriguez from Jersey. Quentin Botha from South Africa. Selecta T. Kevin Winston. You sent us some amazing words, Kevin. Really meant a lot to me professionally. And last but not least, my boy Jason. Josh E. on Instagram, and Paulie Coasters on Instagram. I'm forgetting somebody, but I want to end it off with Olin Kreutz. I'll just say this. You don't have to agree with everything somebody says, but you also have to listen. It's important to listen. The truth is, Olin brought it truthfully in a way I have prayed that people would speak on this show about football with love. That's where he was coming from. And what an amazing guest. And that's it, Aldo, for my week.
Great job, Phil. Great job, Greg. Great job, Shane. Shane, you got any more special effects things that you said?
No.
That's we got them all in. Those are outstanding, dude. Great job in doing them on the fly too. And thanks to everyone in the chat room. I'm reading some incredible comments. It really is emotional to see what the impact of what we have done here, all of our shows, how we've reached out to people. Oh, by the way, speaking of all of our shows, I got a shout out to Les Grobstein and David Schuster. These are two Chicago sports radio icons, guys who have worked for decades. They now have a podcast, and I hope you give them a try. The Grobstein Schuster Zone. They actually are going to be here tomorrow afternoon right here in the Man Cave to do their second show, and their guest is going to be Bruce Levine, the Chicago baseball reporter for the Score Sports Radio. So there's going to be a lot of baseball talk, but they are also going to talk about Trubisky, Tariq Cohen as well. We didn't get to Tariq today, but we will on our next show because he offered up some good sound bites, and that'll still be relevant the next time we get together here But hopefully you guys give Grobstein and Schuster a listen, and if you like it, share it with your friends. And as we like to say here, if you drink, please do not drive, and always, 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 bear down! Let's see, where's my titles? I was trying to
bear the
There you
fuck down.
All right, guys, let's give a little post-show show, about 5 minutes, and then we'll pull the plug on this. Shane, you got any? What are you doing the rest of the day, Shane? Getting some more sun?
Whatever.
Tell me. I mean, come on, you know.
Whatever I'm told to do, Aldo.
Did you finish your roof?
It's 95% done.
Well, then there you go. You got 5% to do today.
I told her it would be a 2-hour show, and we are 90 minutes over almost. So I'm probably going to do whatever I'm told.
Exactly.
What about you?
I already had my wife come down here right as I finished my last
She heard the heavy breathing, and it threw her off, right?
Yeah. She's like, what's going on down there? No, she was like, this kid ate 3 donuts. He stole one. I grabbed him and made him spit out the other. We got drama upstairs that I got to go handle with the kids and everything. So it's a beautiful day here in Connecticut. I can see too. I'm down in the man cave, so I could see a little window up there with sun shining through. And one thing I do love is I just love the ocean. And when you can't get to the ocean, second best is a pool. So we have a deck that we sit on by the pool, and I just listen to shows and music, and I intend to hopefully make it a Sunday, exactly, Bear Truth, chill day. But it's starting off rocky because I was like, we're going to go 2 hours.
Yep.
and she took them out of the house in the earthquake.
We're not going to be there on we're not going to be there on Wednesday, and we need our people to have as much to listen to throughout the week as possible. We're looking
to let you call Steph and talk to her.
Phil was actually right. He did go 2 hours. The rest of us went an hour.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, I tried to be quiet today because Shane was killing my highlight.
I think Greg's shout-outs were longer than Phil's this week.
That's what I'm saying. I think my chat shout-outs are getting a little... It's hard. I write down a lot, and I don't want to leave them out.
Even the shit that you can't read, right? I don't know what I wrote there, but I'm not sure.
Is that your own handwriting you can't read?
Yeah, it's bad. It's chicken scratch.
No, I think I wouldn't change a thing about your shout outs. I think, you're finally getting it right, so don't fuck it up.
See, we're learning. We're learning.
Right.
We're learning.
You learn on the job.
Greg, what do you got going on today?
I'm just going to have fun with Addison, go outside, wear her down. It's kind of every day's goal is to
wear her down.
You got to get NyQuil.
She's got so much energy. She's definitely got her dad's energy. She don't ever stop. It's every night that's just trying to wear her out so she can fall asleep peacefully and not screaming like a maniac to fall asleep. And
Grandma's the same way. right?
Yeah. Oh, is she? Is she? Is she? You fucking idiot. And so, that's what we'll be doing. It's a nice day. It's kind of cool out. Of course, every day during the week, it's 98 degrees. And then on the weekend, it's 70. So I appreciate that, because then I can't go swimming or the things that I love to do. Like
You don't
Phil.
need to swim anywhere. Stay home.
No. Last week I went to the lake.
You got your own little kiddie pool. That's fine. You don't need
to go to the lake.
I went to the lake last week.
Don't go in any neighbor's pools.
Right.
I will do as I please. Thank you very much. I'm trying to sell where we're living now so I can get a house with a pool.
There you go.
I want a house with a pool. That's our goal.
You can
for
come
next
over
summer.
anytime.
Jenny's trying to convince me to have a second kid, but we got to have a house first in order to do that.
Oh, look at this. Joe's got a great idea.
Joe, I shouted you out, Joe. Look at you. You must have been in there. He's been here.
I thought maybe this was gonna be like the musical, like where Aldo just does 3 hours of different songs.
There you go.
Could, and Phil, you could send them do Casey Kasem setups for each song. Back in 2017.
This next request and dedication goes out to John Santucci.
Quickly before we pull the plug, you got anything planned for Tuesday, Shy Fans in the Stands?
Fat Mike had booked Yurko for the last few weeks. John Yurkovich from ESPN 1000, former Green Bay Packer, former Jacksonville Jaguar.
Brett Favre teammate.
Yeah, no shit. Of course, Fat Mike's getting interested with people that are connected with Favre. But he's also a native of the region. I know everyone loves when I bring up the region. He lives in the region. I actually see him sometimes at some of the bars in the area, when they used to be. They're open now. So, apparently we're going to have John Yurkovich on Tuesday as long as everything goes right and John's still available. So, that's the breaking news of the day for Shy Fans on Tuesday night.
There you go.
Fat Mike hooked John Yurkovich for Shy Fans in the Stands. So, Joey Two Scoops, Fat Mike, and I will be chopping it up with the big guy.
Well, are you going to allow them to ask questions?
We'll see. For me, it's an impromptu, and sometimes I don't even let the guest that's on really answer his own questions. So if Joe and Mike think they're going to get a question in when the guest can't even answer the questions, listen.
I can't wait for Greg's questions to Yurko about Mitch Trubisky's future in Chicago.
I know. We
Listen,
can
dickhead, I'm going
me and Yurk could literally argue for hours. We have a few times at the bar because he is vehemently against Devin Hester as a Hall of Famer, and I am vehemently against that whole mindset. So me and Yurk don't see eye to eye on few things.
How can you be against that?
He hates on Devin Hester. I can't stand it. Drives me crazy.
I
love Yurk. I love Yurk. He's a great guy to have a beer with. Yeah. But he hates. There's certain things.
Does he hate Devin Hester, or does he hate the fact that having a kick returner, a punt returner?
Yeah, he just doesn't see his Hall of Fame worth. Yeah, I'll bring it up for the live listeners to hear. We've gone back. We've gone back and forth a few times on it, but I'll let the listeners hear us have a little squabble on it, and then maybe I'll let Fat Mike and Joe interject.
How can you say it's not important when the Bears don't make the Super Bowl if they don't have Devin Hester? It's that simple.
Yeah.
You're
preaching that. Yeah. I'm the one that's going to riot in the streets if he's not first ballot, and freaking Yurko doesn't even think he should be in. So we'll ask that question on Tuesday, and if anybody's got a question they might want to ask, maybe send it in, and maybe it'll get in to Yurko for the show. And we always appreciate everybody tuning in. I know everybody's big 100 proof. We only get 10 to 14 listeners, but we love those.
Those are truthers.
It's a tough time of the year. The weather's nice, and people are doing things. The on-demand numbers are great. People are listening at their leisure, and those numbers are great for all of the shows on the platform. So.
You know, when I first started doing the shows, I would be always obsessed about how many people we had listening a week. Now I don't ever even ask because I just want to do a good show for
20
us.
listeners is right around the corner when the season kicks off. So buckle
That's right. That's right. Larison, I can always tell when Larison listens because then he'll be tweeting at 3 a.m. about me.
All right.
Anyway,
it is time to end this. And again,
enjoy your Sunday.
Enjoy your Sunday, guys.
We still have 50 people in the chat room listening to all this garbage at the end, and we really, really appreciate it and love you all. Thanks very much. All right, guys.
Peace, and I'm out.